And welcome to a sold-out Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, everyone. Along with John Morris, this is Sam Nover. The Kansas City Chiefs, coming off a tough loss at the hands of Cleveland, have not won here in 5 straight outings. And, of course, Seattle had that big win against Denver last week. But quarterbacks are the key to this ball game, going in opposite directions, John, apparently.
Defense was the story for both teams last week. The pressure's on that man, Bill Kenney, today. Admittedly, he had a poor game last week. He needs to have a good one today for his team to have a chance. On the other side, Dave Krieg, he's playing at home. Good advantage for him, and he got his team into the end zone 3 times last week.
So we're set for the opening kickoff. You're looking at number 9, Norm Johnson, 3rd in all-time field goal percentage in the National Football League, a man who's had an outstanding career thus far. Yvonne Jenkins is the key kick return man for Kansas City. 3 yards deep in the end zone, told not to take it out, and Kansas City will begin its first possession from the 20-yard line. Bill Kenney, 12 of 29 throwing the football at Kansas City last week. You look at his partners in the backfield, Palmer, the sensation out of Temple, who did not play much last year. He's got the great speed on the outside in Carson and Page. And an offensive line that keys John Alt, who is their most spectacular offensive lineman, beginning at their own 20-yard line. Paul Palmer, the single set on the wing. James Saxon is the other back in the backfield. Quick out to Page at the 24-yard line. Patrick Hunter with the coverage. And a gain of about 4 yards. Seattle with Jacob Green, 3rd all-time on the sack list. Joe Nash, the perennial All-Pro, and Alfonso Mitz, although you see a great deal of Jeff Bryant today. A linebacking core that has been decimated. We'll talk about that as this story develops, obviously. And the secondary, Terry Taylor, a noticeable absentee, as Palmer carries the ball up to the 28-yard line, stopped by the inside linebackers, Bosworth 55 and Wyman 92. So it'll be 3rd down and 2 now for Kansas City, running the ball from its own 28-yard line.
Kansas City has got to be able to run the ball today. Obviously trying it with Palmer. We'll talk about the injuries that they've had on their offensive line as well as in their backfield.
Six defensive backs, 3rd and 2 now. Seattle using their nickel package. Quick out, caught on the near sideline by Kitrick Taylor for the first down up around the 34-yard line. Melvin Jenkins had the coverage, but Kansas City with their first down of the game.
Kind of surprising how much room Jenkins gives him. Watch the cushion out here on the corner. Kitrick Taylor coming right at you as the ball comes. See, he turns up there. Jenkins playing back gives him plenty of room. Easy first down.
Melvin Jenkins, John, I think did that last week, giving some Denver receivers a little bit too much of a cushion, although he did come up with a very big interception in the 3rd period. So Kansas City now running the ball from its own 33-yard line. Saxon in motion. Palmer across the 35 to about the 37. The stop made by Bruce Schultz, number 58, in the linebacking spot that has been held by Fred Young around here for a number of years, but he's no longer a Seattle Seahawk.
Bruce Schultz is the old man on that linebacking core. Kansas City still trying to run the ball, and I think they're going to do that for most of the first quarter.
Gain of about 3, 2nd down and 7. Kansas City just shy of its own 37-yard line. Palmer now set up outside the receiver on that side, Stephon Page. Saxon the lone setback behind Bill Kenney. Tip, almost caught twice and almost intercepted. Eugene Robinson almost ended up with the football. It was intended for Stephon Page.
And it was David Wyman, number 92, the linebacker that tips this. You'll see him on the right of your screen as he drops back. It's going to be a fake screen. He gets out in coverage and tips it. Wyman has been doing an excellent job this year. We'll talk about him as we go along. He got hurt a couple of years ago, got traded to San Francisco, flunked the physical, came back, and really playing some football.
Remarkable story. He came down at 7 now. 4 wide receivers being used by Kansas City and 6 defensive backs by Seattle. Page in motion. Kenney looking at him all the way. First down, Kansas City. Fumbles the ball. Seattle indicates they have it, and they do. Unless the play was whistled dead.
Kenney disagrees. Bill Kenney, the quarterback, says he was down. Also looks like somebody's hurt.
Jerry Markwright is the referee, and we're waiting for the umpiring, and there's the official decision. It goes to Seattle. Joe Nash is the man at the bottom of the pile.
Stephon Page on your left comes across the middle, covered by Jenkins, has the first down. Now he's looking for some more. Nice block downfield there. Okay, you make the call. Looked to me like a fumble.
I think it was Bosworth who knocked it free, so Seattle with excellent field possession. Field position with their first possession at the 48. Warner. Inside the 40. Dino Hackett, who has led this club in tackles for each of his first 2 seasons and had 12 last week after a 9-yard carry.
Nice way to start the game. 9 yards with Warner right off the bat. We'll see a lot of that today, Sam.
Krieg starts with John L. Williams, number 32, and Kurt Warner, 28, in the backfield. What can we tell you about Largent? He's 85 yards away from establishing yet another National Football League career record. He already has caught more passes than any man living or dead in the National Football League. 2nd down and 1. Williams, 1st down and much more. Inside the 35 to about the 32-yard line. Jack Del Rio, the 4th-year linebacker out of USC, is a man who made the stop. But Seattle with its initial 1st down. As you look at the Kansas City defensive line, their number 1 draft choice, 2nd overall, Neil Smith, along with Billy Moss and Mike Bell. And we welcome those of you who have been watching other National Football League games around the league. Seattle, Kansas City. First possession for Seattle following a Kansas City fumble. 1st down and 10, and Warner the ball carrier. Outside to about the 25-yard line. Brought down by Tim Cofield after a short yardage gain. Kansas City, with the initial possession of the game, drove the ball for a 1st down in the neighborhood of the 45-yard line. But the ball was fumbled by Stephon Page, recovered by Joe Nash. And now Seattle is coming back with its first possession of the day. With John Morris, I'm Sam Nover. Nice to have you with us on our broadcast today from a sold-out Kingdome in Seattle.
Seattle really running the ball well here on their first possession.
Some of that right over the all-pro nose tackle, Billy Moss. This is Williams. May have forged ahead for the 1st down, stopped by Cofield, the 3rd-year linebacker out of Elizabeth City State.
You know, you mentioned Bill Moss, the best nose tackle in the league. There he is right there, number 63. Blair Bush, playing center for Seattle, expected to have a tough time against Moss, but I've been watching it the first couple of plays, and I like the way Blair Bush is handling himself so far. This guy's 63. No question in my mind he's the best.
And having spent 15 years in this league, John, as a center, you know if the center can take the nose tackle one-on-one, it certainly helps the offensive line immeasurably if you don't have to double team him. 2 tight ends on 3rd and short. Williams gets the ball and gets outside. Touchdown, Seattle! John L. Williams, who may just be the most complete back in the National Football League. Runs, blocks, has excellent hands on the receiving end, and that's the danger of short yardage situations. Kansas City trying to stop the 1st down, instead gave up the touchdown as Williams went outside, 23 yards for the score. And Seattle has jumped in front 6-0. John, just a great play.
Beautiful play. The crowd is reacting to the replay on the screen here in the stadium. John L. Williams, I think one of the best backs in the league. Not only a good runner, but an excellent blocker. Catches the ball well that time. Just trying to pick up the one and skirted it to the outside. Touchdown, and Seattle really looked impressive on that first drive.
4 carries, 48 yards, and to say that Seattle ran the ball effectively would be an understatement.
Just don't want to fall behind as a visiting team early in the game here in Seattle, and that's the worst thing that could have happened to Kansas City. Don't lose very often. Seattle doesn't here at home. You don't want to fall behind that early.
And as we mentioned at the outset of our broadcast, the last 5 times into the Kingdome, Kansas City has been unsuccessful, losing by an average of 20 points a game. So they've not only lost here, they've been blown out. And they're coming off even a loss in Cleveland, but a confidence builder nonetheless. There's a delay here, John.
I think the replay official's trying to decide whether he actually got it in the end
After
zone.
further review,
let's watch it again as he comes to your right. John L.
the
Williams, number
touchdown
32,
has not
breaks
been
it to the
scored.
outside. You hear the reaction of the crowd. The official just said he did not score. Let's see it here as he gets down to the end zone. Is he down or out of bounds? Did his foot go out of bounds right there? I think he did.
So after further review, they have spotted the ball at the 1-yard line. You be the judge again.
Watch Williams' foot on the white line as he comes around the end here. The official says he steps out of bounds right about here.
Or is his knee down?
That's close.
The
He's
foot
not
is not out of bounds,
right,
but the
Sam.
knee is down.
The knee
John.
is down. Then did the ball cross the plane? Did not, he said.
So take away a 23-yard touchdown run for John L. Williams. Make it 1st and goal for Seattle at the Kansas City 1. Again, Spagnola 88, Tice 86, double tight end. Williams, they smothered them that time. May have even lost some yardage. Inside linebackers, Pearson 96, Hackett 56, just caved in on John L. Williams.
It's difficult psychologically for the offensive line here of the Seattle Seahawks. They thought they had a touchdown. All of a sudden it's taken away, and it's a little bit of a letdown there. Now they've got to get it back up again. The official ruling was his knee was down, and that's not the spot. It's where the ball is. The knee went down, but the ball did not cross the plane, so now they've got to try it again.
2nd and goal. Krieg brings him out again. He's got Williams 32, Warner 28 behind him. Warner, I don't think so. Still fighting. Got to the goal line. No signal from the official. It'll be 3rd down and goal. Kevin Ross assisting Bell and Cofield up front on the right side defensively for Kansas City. So they're making a statement here, John.
Good penetration. That's Kevin Ross that makes the play. Pretty good job by a cornerback. You usually expect a linebacker to do that. Tough one now. 3rd down. I'd go right back with the play that got him what we thought was the first touchdown.
Will they take it outside? From the I formation this time. Warner, the second back, dives and gets knocked backwards. Over the top, the linebacker, number 55, Lewis Cooper, met him head on.
He got a lot of help from his friends in there, too. Tremendous effort by the Kansas City defense. You can see how fired up they are because they got a second life here. Cooper and Pearson, watch the penetration of the white jerseys across the line here. No chance whatsoever. No chance. He lost yardage on that one.
So it's 4th down now, maybe 1.5 yards, and Norm Johnson is on out of a Jeff Kemp hold. And they'll try to settle for 3 after having what they thought was 6. And this has got to give Kansas City a tremendous emotional lift. For his 100th career field goal, Norm Johnson is good. And so Kansas City yields the field goal, but delighted to do so in light of the fact that they thought they had given up a touchdown.
A lot of credit to that Kansas City defensive front. You're right. It was a little bit of a letdown for the Seattle Seahawks, but Kansas City took advantage of that. Got to look at that as a win, Sam.
As you look at Chuck Knox on the sidelines, he has had a turbulent week and an emotional week, to say the least, in the respect that he lost a football player that he was very fond of. In fact, he's been fond of all of his players over the years, as you well know, John. But Fred Young, who simply didn't want to play here under the terms of his existing contract and was traded to Indianapolis for a couple of first-round draft choices. Hello again, along with John Morris, former New England and Detroit center. I'm Sam Nover. This has got to come as a shock to Seattle right away, and I think you set the tone when they didn't make it on 1st and goal at the 1-yard line.
And they ran the ball so well in that first series. They were in control of everything right down the field, and yet Kansas City rose to the occasion. So maybe we're going to have a good one after all here.
Kansas City comes in, of course, off a loss, which is depressing enough, but knowing they haven't won here in 5 straight outings, and to have stopped Seattle with a 1st and goal at the 1-yard line has got to carry them on. Let's see if it translates to their offense. And that has been their problem. Their defense certainly wasn't their problem last week in the 6-3 loss to Cleveland. Norm Johnson kicking off Kevon Jenkins at his 7-yard line. Straight up the middle. Does not reach the 20. Brian Blades, the rookie out of Miami, is the man who got him. First draft choice for Seattle, taken in the second round.
What a play by Blades. It's his brother who's supposed to be the defensive specialist, drafted number 1 by Detroit. But this guy, the receiver, went down there and made the play on the kickoff.
So let's see if Kenney now can answer the drive of 47 yards. 18-yard field goal by Norm Johnson, as we mentioned, the 100th of his magnificent career here in the Kingdom. Saxon 21 in motion. That's Palmer for a few yards across the 20 to maybe the 23-yard line. Joe Nash, the nose tackle, number 72, who is the incumbent nose tackle, John, but no longer can we say he is unchallenged. Ken Clark will see some action today. Look at the upset in the making in Washington. The Pittsburgh Steelers with a 2-point lead very late in that football game, and Buffalo has held on to beat Miami. San Francisco, in a battle of two of the best teams in the NFC, beats the Giants at the Meadowlands. We'll get more for you. Palmer again. Nothing this time. Tony Woods, former number 1 draft choice out of the University of Pittsburgh. No gain.
Tony Woods, the other rookie linebacker last year, coming into his own this year.
Bears went into Indianapolis and were able to beat Eric Dickerson and company. Atlanta led early in that ball game, but New Orleans has come back, seemingly with the 8-point lead late. Tampa Bay wins a ball game.
Don't say that very often, do you?
In the Battle of the Bays. And in the 4 o'clock games, all first quarter. 3rd and 7 now. Kansas City at the 23-yard line. 4 down linemen for Seattle, including Jeff Bryant, who missed all of training camp in the preseason. Another contract holdout. Kenney with time. Almost intercepted. Intended for Carlos Carson. He threw the ball in behind him. Patrick Hunter with the coverage, but he seemed to have his man. He just didn't get him the ball.
Patrick Hunter should have had the football, too. This one was thrown right to him. Over on the right side, Kenney with pretty good protection against the 4-man rush. Has time to throw it, but throws it behind the receiver. Just a poor pass by Kenney.
Kelly Goodburn, who punted 9 times last week, including his career best of 56 yards. In fact, both punters had their career best last week. Bobby Joe Edmonds in single safety. Rodriguez had a 68-yarder. A flag is down. This is Edmonds. Gets to the 40-yard line, but a flag is down.
That's either going to be running into the kicker or roughing the kicker, and there's a difference in the amount of yardage on the penalty, so we'll wait for the official to sort that out. Looked to me like Rufus Porter really got to the kicker and not only ran into him, but roughed him pretty well, too. Let's look at it again. Watch number 97 coming out left-hand side of your screen there. Here he comes.
Whoa.
It's like roughing to me. I'll let the official make the call.
Rufus Porter, who's just an outstanding special teams player, got a game ball, in fact, last week, but may have been the culprit here, and this one apparently is coming back. 48 yards, 9 on the return.
They need more than 5 yards for the first down, so that's going to be the call right here.
Good point. That's what the decision, obviously the conversation is all about. Do they want to punt it again? Do they want an opportunity?
Running into the kicker, number 97, defense, still 4th down.
Okay, they call it running into the kicker, so that's a 5-yard penalty instead of roughing the kicker.
And Kansas City has elected to accept the penalty, so instead it'll be now 4th down and 2 instead of 4th and 7. It gives Goodburn another opportunity. I don't know if I'd want to give Edmonds another chance to break one all the way, I'll tell you.
Well, I wouldn't either, except it wasn't a very good punt the first time by Goodburn, so he gets another try. I don't know how many times Kansas City's going to get a second try in this game. It's 4th and 1, though, so Seattle's got to be a little bit conscious of that, too.
Mark Wright having all sorts of problems here. Now we're ready to go. Edmonds positioned at the 30-yard line.
Everybody up for Seattle. They're all on the line of scrimmage.
Good snap. High, but not very deep. And out of bounds, and let's see the position of the angle. They spot the ball inside the 40-yard line at about the 36. So Goodburn with not a very good punt and not considerably different from before the penalty. 36 yards the net And a reminder that NBC Sports will begin its coverage of the '88 Summer Olympics this Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 o'clock Central and Mountain. A special preview. Meet the men and women of the games, 11,000 strong, from over 160 nations, all sharing a common dream, of course, of that Olympic gold. And you'll see the 1988 Summer Olympics in Seoul exclusively right here on NBC. Krieg looking to his right, throws downfield instead, and Fred Tice was mugged. Mike Tice it is. Lloyd Burris is a man with the coverage, but Tice, I worked with a man named Fred Tice. It was a logical mistake.
It wasn't for Lloyd Burris, though. He was just all over him. Mugged was the apt description of that one. Flags all over the place. I see 3 of them on the field, and Burris didn't even complain about it.
Pass interference, number 86, defense, automatic
Well,
first
he called
down.
it on Tice, 86,
Yeah.
but he means the other way. Watch it yourself, no question about this. And I don't know what Burris was thinking about. Pretty good protection by the Seattle offensive line here. Craig's got a chance to look for a second receiver. Kind of hard to find the receiver with Burris all over him like that.
At the 42-yard line, they spot it. First down and 10 now for Seattle. Still with John L. Williams, 32. Kurt Warner, 28 in the backfield. Quick snap, Warner trying to get outside Kansas City. Springs it out to the sideline. Warner ahead for just a couple of yards. Lloyd Burris ran him out on the far side. A gain of 3. It'll be second down and 7. And what is it that Seattle wants to exploit here today in the Kansas City defense, John?
Obviously trying to run the ball, and they look like they're trying to run it wide. And that time, the 3-4 defense of Kansas City did exactly what it's designed to do. The linebacker stretched it to the sideline. Good play by Cofield, and there's Chuck Knox on the sideline. He's got that game plan there. A lot of people think there's no passes on that thing, just running plays. But
yeah,
they will throw it, obviously, when they have to. They're trying to run it right now.
This building has been very kind to Seattle over the years. The 5th best home record over the past 5 years in the National Football League. Some of you may be surprised to think it's as bad as 5th best. Sometimes you can't hear yourself think here. And this time, Frank fumbles the football. He was trying to ward off the pursuit and gave up the ball, but Seattle recovered. Moss and Bell were both in on him.
Good pressure by Bell, the right defensive end. You can see in there number 99. Craig really had no place to go. Almost looked as though he was trying to shovel it forward. Saying no, Seattle recovered it. Loss of 7 yards. Puts him in a 3rd and long.
Mike Wilson saved the day with the recovery back at the 38-yard line. So it's 3rd down and 14 now for Seattle. 6 defensive backs employed by Kansas City. And 4 receivers now for Seattle. Krieg in the shotgun. Looks to Largent. Did he scoop it off the ground? He did, says the official. He short hopped the ball. Albert Lewis with the coverage against number 80, Steve Largent. The pass is incomplete. And so for the first time, Ruben Rodriguez today will have to punt. And as I mentioned, he had his career best last week in Denver, although with that thin air, 68 yards.
A lot of confidence in Albert Lewis, the cornerback out there. He was in single coverage on Steve Largent and was all over him.
Kittrick Taylor in single safety back at his own 18-yard line. 3-0 if you've just joined us. Seattle leads it on a Norm Johnson 18-yard field goal after Seattle had thought they had scored a touchdown. This is big trouble. Ball is still loose. Thrown up in the air. Kansas City can take it in, but they get knocked down at about the 22-yard line. A real special teams blunder by Seattle, and Kansas City's going to have the football inside the 25-yard line.
Starts with a bad snap. Grant Feasel's the center on this. Just a bad snap, and the kicker can't handle it. And once that happens, all sorts of bad things are going to start to happen to you.
Lewis is there, as he has been so often. 6 blocks over the last 3 years. Tommy Agee trying to run with the ball now, just throws it up for grabs. An obvious rookie mistake, a youngster out of Auburn. And that could have been 6 points. As it is, Kansas City gets the ball from Seattle 23-yard line. And what a turnabout this is now, John.
It's hard to understand what Agee was thinking about there. Obviously, he figures he's got nothing to lose and throw it up. But at that point, I think you just want to cut your losses and hope your defense can get the job done. Okay, let's see if Kansas City can take advantage of this huge break.
Carlos Carson split wide to the right and Stephon Page to the left. Saxon and Palmer in the pro set behind Bill Kenney. Now it's Larry Moriarty, 32, and the give to Palmer behind Moriarty. Bangs to the 20-yard line. David Wyman is the man who met him there. Moriarty, who has had some injury problems, now replacing Saxon at the fullback spot.
Not a bad move, though, because he's a big guy, 237 pounds, Moriarty. And they really need that in there for the lead blocking. And Palmer's got a chance, I think, with some good blocking in front of him.
Larry acquired from the Houston Oilers in an off-season deal. Second down and 7. Give Palmer 3 on the carry. Kansas City has not scored a touchdown this season. Kenney over the middle, in and out of the hands of the intended receiver, Paul Palmer. Brian Bosworth had the coverage on the youngster from Temple. It's incomplete.
See the disappointment on Kenney's face that time. He had his receiver open. Palmer should have caught that ball, circled out of the backfield to the right, and was open over the middle. Hit him in a bad spot, I guess, right in the hands.
A reminder to our viewers that we will be selecting the Budweiser Most Valuable Player for today's game at the conclusion of the game. Third down and 7. 4 receivers, Harry and Taylor, join Page and Carson. And the nickel set now for Seattle. Kenney over the middle, and it's complete inside the 15-yard line to Carlos Carson.
Question is, did he make it to the sticks for the first down? It's awfully close. Good catch over the middle. We'll see it from the end zone here. That's the quarterback. You'll watch Carlos Carson on the left side, the right side of your screen come down. He comes back towards the quarterback. Question now is, did he make it to the sticks? Patrick Hunter right on top of him.
He had good coverage. And Jerry Markbright has called for an official's timeout now for a measurement.
Well, Kansas City really needs this one, Sam. They've struggled on offense, as you said. They haven't scored a touchdown yet this year. You can see the Kansas City defense on the sideline. They're all up on the field, right on the sidelines watching. Looks like he's got it.
By the nose of the football. Well, the thing about Frank Gans, the second-year coach of Kansas City, John, as you know from having spoken with him a bit yesterday, he has not wavered in his decision to go with Bill Kenney. Well, for now, anyway.
That's what he's saying publicly. I question that. I wonder if he wouldn't pull his quarterback if the situation called for it. DeBerg is no slouch as a backup.
13-yard line. First down and 10, Kansas City. He tried to give it to the windback Palmer, and Jacob Green would not be fooled. What a great defensive play by Green.
They tried to run the reverse. Did not fool number 79, Jacob Green. Watch it on the right of your screen. See, they're going to go the other way. Green sees it all the way. Didn't fool him for a second. He's been around for a while in his 9th year. It takes a lot to fool those old veterans.
And we welcome those of you who have just watched the Washington Redskins edge the Pittsburgh Steelers 30-29. It is second down and 15 for Kansas City. They're at the 18-yard line of Seattle, and they trail in the ball game 3-0. Kenney, way over his intended receiver in the end zone, Carlos Carson. Melvin Jenkins with the coverage, so it'll be third down and 15 now for the Chiefs. And as we have just been stating here to our audience that joined us, this is a very important drive for Kansas City. They failed to get into the end zone in 4 quarters against Cleveland last week. They have been very fortunate here in the respect that a touchdown was taken away from Seattle. It was spotted at the 1-yard line where the official ruled the ball was dead, and Seattle never did get it into the end zone, had to settle for a field goal. See if Kansas City can answer.
He's got to get up there. Can't run shotgun in this crowd. Too noisy.
4 receivers. Stephon Page in motion. Got time over the middle. It's caught inside the 10-yard line by Page. That'll be considerably shy of a first down. And so Nick Lowry now will apparently come on and attempt a field goal to tie the game.
Stephon Page on the top of your screen will run an in pattern across the middle. Kenney has to throw this under pressure. We watch Page, number 83. Good move to the outside. Cuts it back to the inside and fools Hunter. Makes the catch, but I think short of the first down.
So Nick Lowry will attempt a 27-yard field goal.
It's disappointing for Kenney and the Kansas City offense. They really needed a touchdown there.
Kenney is the holder. And it's perfect. So Nick Lowry has tied this football game at 3-3. And Kansas City doing obviously better than they have in the past here at the Kingdome. We'll return after this.
This buzz for all that you do.
Papers say he busted it up pretty good.
Randall Morris and Bobby Joe Edmonds set to return this kickoff of Nick Lowry. It's a 3-3 football game. The Kansas City Chiefs feeling very good about their defense and have every reason to feel even better today, and now have gotten even with Seattle. And this kickoff by Nick Lowry is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. This is Bobby Joe Edmonds at his own 7. 30. 40. Tackle is made by Gary Baldinger after a return of 33 yards. 1:01 left here in the first quarter. The Kansas City Chiefs and Seattle Seahawks tied 3-3. We'll be back right after this. And so Seattle now will operate from its own 40-yard line in a 3-3 football game. Norm Johnson, Nick Lowry having exchanged field goals, the 3rd and 5th most accurate kickers in the history of the National Football League. Krieg's got John L. Williams, 32, Kurt Warner, 28 behind him. Largent has yet to catch a pass today. Obviously, everybody watches with interest. Warner, nothing doing, fumbles the ball. Was the play whistle dead? I believe so. Lloyd Burris wrapped him good after a gain of 1, along with Aaron Pearson.
What a player this Burris is. He's the force on the outside that comes up and forces it back to the inside. Doesn't make the play, but he's the one that stopped it. Warner got a break on that fumble that time. Let's see it again. You'll watch number 34, Burris, come up and make this play. He doesn't actually make the tackle, but he's up there forcing it. See him right there? That allows the linebacker. Well, he does make the tackle. The linebacker comes over and makes the play, too.
Are you questioning my spotters?
Burris is a player, isn't he?
2nd down and 9. This is an offense, Seattle, that ran the ball for 178 yards against Denver last Sunday and held the ball for over 11 minutes in the 4th quarter. Craig looking downfield, Largent too low at the 40-yard line. Albert Lewis had the coverage, but Largent was available if the pass had been on target. And our 10-minute ticker now, getting you caught up to date on scores around the NFL. These are all final. Steelers lose with 12 seconds to go. Buffalo beating Miami. Giants, Niners in a great game at the Meadowlands. San Francisco wins it. Chicago goes into Indianapolis and wins. New Orleans trailed early, beats Atlanta. Tampa Bay wins a football game. That's headline story. And first quarter scores elsewhere. Jets are tied. Raiders and Oilers. And Minnesota at home to New England. 3rd and 9. And Seattle with 4 receivers, Scansey and Blades. Good out pattern run by Blades, and he's got the first down in Kansas City territory at the 48. Kevin Ross with the coverage, a gain of 10 and the first down.
Excellent pattern by Brian Blades, number 89. Good pass by the quarterback. Watch it on the right side of your screen here. Number 89 just runs the out. It's a perfect pass by Craig. Just can't throw it any better than that. He's in, too. First down.
5'11", 182 out of Miami. His brother Benny taken by Detroit in the first round, the defensive back. In fact, the irony is, and we'll get to that later. A lot of irony, I guess. Haven't got time for all the irony. At the 48 of Kansas City, that's Blades in motion. And on the reverse. 40, another first down inside the 40 to about the 37-yard line. Tim Cofield, the linebacker on that side, knocked him out, but not before Brian Blades got a first down with Brian Millard leading the way around the left end.
Seahawks did an excellent job of selling this to the Kansas City defense. A good fake. Millard, the best offensive lineman for Seattle, got out in front of that one. Blades took advantage of it.
And so with that play, the first quarter comes to an end here at a sold-out Kingdome in Seattle. The Chiefs and Seahawks tied at 3. We'll be back with more in just a moment. Welcome back to the Kingdome with John Morris. I'm Sam Nover. I'm not so sure that the 3 yards passing and the fact that they're ranked 22nd throwing the ball after the first week isn't more a reflection of Seattle's desire to run the ball, John, than anything else.
They run it well, and he's missed Largent a couple of times, too. Craig has.
1st and 10. This is John L. Williams inside the 35. A flag is down. to about the 32-yard line. Dino Hackett, the ever-present linebacker out of Appalachian State, is the man who made the stop, but let's see what the flag is all about.
About what you would expect it to be. Preliminary signal was holding. Seattle's offensive line has done a pretty good job against a very tough Kansas City defense, and they have run the ball well. Now they're going to start with a little bit of a handicap on this series.
Holding, number 75, offense. First down.
Interesting, too, John, in the last drive that they not only threw the completed pass to Brian Blades, came right back, gave him the ball on the reverse.
Yeah.
Obviously another weapon for them if they can get him going.
He's a quick one. That's Mike Wilson was called for the holding. He's in his 11th year. They got him from Cincinnati. He's supposed to know how to hold and not get caught.
Alan Pinkett has a touchdown, and Marcus Allen have touchdowns in the Raider-Houston game. And Darren Nelson, an 8-yard run to give the Vikings the lead. Get you caught up every 10 minutes on scores around the NFL. Warner, hesitation step, good move inside the 40. Stopped by Cofield after a gain of 7. Got the stutter step at the line of scrimmage.
Got a little help from his tight end, too. Bill Moss, the nose tackle, gets trapped by Mike Tice, the tight end. Warner took advantage of it. What a running back this Kurt Warner is. I guess I'm not saying anything that people don't know, but man has been able to do as much as he's done with all the injuries that he's had. Missed an entire season one year.
Carried the ball 7 times unofficially for 28 yards in this game. Second down, 13 at the 39-yard line of Kansas City. We're in a 3-3 tie. Early second quarter. Looking for Largent.
No doubt that time. That's the first catch of the day for Largent for 11 yards. He's been open a couple of times prior.
154th consecutive game in which he's caught at least one pass.
Don't have to tell you how the crowd here in Seattle feels about him. He gets double coverage this time. Ross and Burris both on him. That's Kevin Ross, number 31. He just curls it up. Perfect pass that time by David Krieg. Prior to that, he had him open over the middle, missed him for about 30 yards.
The irony about breaking the career yardage mark for Largent, if he doesn't get it here today and he needs 85 total yards on the day, he'll probably get it next week in San Diego,
where Charlie Joyner,
the home of Charlie Joyner,
the coach in San Diego,
the existing record holder. Greg again. Pass complete. Brian Blades, first down. Albert Lewis had the coverage, but Seattle converts what was first and long.
If they get a touchdown here in this drive, it's going to be Brian Blades that got it for him. 2 receptions and an end around. He looks pretty good. The rookie out of Florida. We mentioned earlier his brother's the #1 draft choice as a defensive back for Detroit. 2 catches, 22 yards. Not a bad start. Now see, he's looking up at the screen to see it again.
Largent out to the right. And Raymond Butler to the left with Williams and Warner still behind Craig. First down and 10. The ball's at the 16-yard line of Kansas City. Warner tried to get outside. Good saving tackle by Dino Hackett, or he might have gone. Give him a gain of 4. It'll be second down and 6.
Watch this again out of the end zone. Brian Millard, number 71, the right guard, will lead this. There he goes pulling right behind. Now watch what Lloyd Burris does. He sees this big guy coming for him. He just gives up the body. Good play by Burris, but a good cut by Kurt Warner. Dino Hackett over there, he makes a lot of tackles, doesn't he?
He's no Bosworth going sideline to sideline, but he gets there, doesn't he?
Plays with a lot of intensity. That's what I like about him.
Jack Lambert type, great inspirational football player. Second down and 6. Tice leading for Warner. Straight up the middle, found a great hole to the 5. Just shy of the 5-yard line, maybe another first down. 6 yards on the carry. Aaron Pearson is the man who made the stop, but that'll be very close to another Seattle first down.
If you're a center, you absolutely love this. You get some help from your tight end on Bill Moss, the best nose tackle in the league, certainly the highest price. Now watch the tight end come in, 86 from the left of your screen. See what he does to the nose tackle? Center gets a play off. When that happens, Warner takes advantage of it. Now what's going to happen is that Moss is going to be concerned about that for the rest of the game. He's going to be looking over his shoulder.
And using Tice as a blocker is like having another offensive tackle. He is considered, at least out here in Seattle, as the best blocking tight end of the league.
Well, he's almost 250 pounds. He better be a good blocker because they don't throw it to him very often.
And he's probably just as happy about that. First down and goal to go. So Seattle trying to score the first touchdown of a 3-3 football game. 11 and a half minutes to go, second quarter. Tice, of course, was a quarterback in college at Maryland, but has certainly excelled here as a tight end, at least a blocking tight end. First and goal, Seahawks at the 6. Williams. Still Williams. Forces the pile back 3 yards. A gain of 5. It'll be second down 1.
Just power football at its finest right there. John L. Williams takes advantage of the surge, almost got it into the end zone. He's almost 230 pounds himself, John L. Williams. Good power back. I like him a lot, Sam. I really do. He can do a lot for this team.
Well, you're not the only one. So does his coach. And I'm sure the fans out here in Seattle.
Former #1 draft choice from Florida.
Only 5'11". Great leg strength. Tyson Spagnola, double tight end, second and goal at the 1. Play action. Tice! He was in and then had to come back, it appeared, to catch the football, and Kevin Ross drove him out at about the 2-yard line. My, oh, my. He had half his body in the end zone.
Give credit to Kevin Ross. A tremendous effort on his part. Watch him in motion here. That's Tice 86. He looks like he's going to block. He's trying to sell the idea of blocking. Then he slips to the outside. Kevin Ross is right on him. I thought his foot was in before he caught the ball, I think.
But the ball was not in the end zone, and that's all that really matters. Are they going to check it out on replay? Apparently no need. They spot the ball at the 1-yard line. Third down. Can Kansas City stop them again at the 1? Warner? No, they can't. Touchdown. Ron Matt is 70 and 65. Edwin Bailey leading the way.
Bailey, the lead guard. John L. Williams, the lead blocker there on Kevin Ross. And Williams makes the block and gets Warner into the end zone. Good drive by Seattle. Mixed it up very well on that drive. 12 plays, couple of passes, good running attack. They take the lead.
Second rushing touchdown of the season now for Kurt Warner. Norm Johnson will attempt to tack on the extra point out of a Jeff Kemp hold. And it's perfect. So, 9:37 left first half. An excellent drive. Mostly on the ground. Seattle gets the game's first touchdown, and they lead it 10-3.
Look up, America. From north to south, from coast to coast. Cheer 50.
Today's game is brought to you by Dodge Cars and Trucks. When it's got to be right, it's got to be a Dodge. By Coors Light, there's no slowing down with a silver bullet. It's the right beer now. And by the U.S. Armed Forces, it's a great place to start.
An excellent 59-yard drive in 12 plays. Warner, the final 1 yard. This is Kevon Jenkins. Fumbles the ball. Kansas City recovered it. He had it for a moment, dropped it again, and dropped it, luckily for him, into the hands of his teammate, Jack Del Rio, I believe. It was Del Rio who made the fumble recovery.
Good thing Del Rio was there. This could have been a disaster for Kansas City. Del Rio alertly right on top of it right there. Avoids the disaster. Kansas City still alive.
And we'll be back with their drive right after this. So Kansas City will begin this drive at its own 17-yard line, having averted disaster on the fumble. Kenney, Carson can't hang on.
Big series for Kansas City on offense right now. Could be the key series of the game. They have really struggled offensively. Haven't scored a touchdown yet this year. Kenney with another poor pass. Really has been off the target. Watch this as he tries to throw the out here. Kenney has really struggled most of this season and throughout this game for sure. He's got an open receiver over here, and it looks like it's a little bit low. Big series for Kansas City, though, Sam. They've got to move the ball here.
Saxon is on the wing to the right. Paul Palmer is the one tailback. That's Saxon in motion, the rookie. Misdirection. Palmer's got some running room. Out of bounds up around the 27-yard line. He'll be close to a first down. Melvin Jenkins ran him out in front of the Kansas City bench. Gain of 11 yards and a Chiefs first down. John, let me just apologize. I don't believe he's in there now. Jeff Bryant's in, but I referred to Alonzo Mitz as Alfonso Mitz, and I I abhor mispronouncing names or making mistakes like that, so let me apologize.
That's
to him.
okay. He refers to himself as the Warrior, so it doesn't really matter.
Never uses his first name, huh? So the Chiefs with a first down. Little better field position up on the 28-yard line. This is Palmer again. Stopped at the line of scrimmage momentarily and forges ahead across the 30. Stopped by Joe Nash, the nose tackle, after a gain of about 3. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Palmer's got to get some yardage for the Kansas City Chiefs. He's obviously filling in for the injured Herman Hurd. Christian Okoye also hurt for Kansas City. They're 2 top running backs. They've lost 2 offensive linemen in Mark Addix and Brian Joswiak, so you can see why they're struggling offensively.
And you've got to consider this a rookie season for Palmer as far as running for scrimmage is concerned. He carried the ball but 24 times last year. Kenney wants it all. Looking for Carson downfield. And he couldn't find the ball. He looked back for it with Patrick Hunter in hot pursuit. And the ball falls incomplete. 3rd down and 7 now.
Actually, I thought that was a pretty good pass by Kenney because going for it all on the left side, Hunter was in decent coverage down there, but the ball was thrown towards the sideline where you're supposed to throw it. Receiver just couldn't find it. Kenney needs to get some points. That's all he needs right now.
Well,
he needs to make some points.
He's got the right man in mind. Carlos Carson, the only receiver in the AFC last year to gain 1,000 yards. The team most valuable player. And in 9 games against Seattle in his lifetime, he's had 3 100-yard receiving games, 8 touchdowns, 37 catches. 3 receivers. Jacob Green got him in the grass, and that'll be the sack for Mr. Green, who continues to move up the list on the all-time sack list.
2 sacks against Denver last week. Watch this. He beats Lutz right now. The right tackle never had a chance. 79 just goes flying by. Lutz never got set up. The quarterback pays the price. Actually, Kenney got off easy on that one in the grass.
70th since they've been keeping track, maybe a lot more in times that they weren't, but 3rd behind Lawrence Taylor and Dexter Manley on the all-time NFL sack list is Jacob Green. Good burn to Edmonds at the 34. To the 45, a knockdown there. Tackle made by Greg Hill, the first one downfield to cover, but Seattle gets it back after a 46-yard punt and an 11-yard return. They have excellent field position and they lead 10-3.
AT&T has just made Watts a whole new ballgame for any size.
Let's get you caught up with the American League East pennant race. The Red Sox, first place, lost to Cleveland today. Tigers and Yankees, Detroit trailing by 3.5, Yanks by 4.5, and Milwaukee's not out of it. Boy, if Sparky Anderson doesn't get the Manager of the Year in that American League, there ought to be an investigation to keep that team that close with so little, although Morgan's done a nice job in Boston. Back to the football. Tice the tight end.
Awful lot of work to get 11 yards here.
Flea flicker, yep.
You got a flea flicker, a reverse, and Tice catches a pass. Steve Largent comes back here, flicks it back to the quarterback. Offensive line is set up to give the protection. They really wanted to go deep to the left, and he wasn't there. He had to look back across the field to Tice, who got open. A nice pass by Krieg. On a play like that, you want to go downfield. You're looking for the bomb, and that would have been a big one for Seattle because they could have put it away almost with a touchdown there, but Kansas City rose to the occasion.
So at the Kansas City 43-yard line now with Warner and Williams behind Dave Krieg. This is Largent in motion. Fakes the reverse. Releases to Williams for a gain of very short yardage at the 41. Kevin Ross has just played spectacularly well today. The 5-year veteran out of Temple, only 5'9", 182 pounds, but he's had some of the biggest hits in the ball game as we check our 10-minute ticker. Games in progress. The Raiders have jumped out on the Oilers, and Minnesota big over New England early on. Philadelphia at home. That may be the surprise team in the NFC East. Denver all over San Diego, and the Rams losing at home. Here it's 10-3, Seattle over Kansas City, 7:20 to go, first half. 2nd down and 8 for the Seahawks. Williams for a couple of yards inside the 40. Dino Hackett was there again, along with Aaron Pearson.
Hackett makes the play, makes the tackle, but he got some help from his friends. Tim Cofield, the outside linebacker. You look at Chuck Knox, one of the top coaches in the league. Still looking for his first Super Bowl, though.
And a quality human being. Boy, they just have loved him everywhere he's gone. Los Angeles, Detroit as an assistant, Buffalo as a head coach, here as a head coach.
6 division titles. What a record.
But
Still wants that ring.
Has never gotten to the big one. 3rd down and 6. Seattle 4 out of 6 on 3rd down conversions. Got a man, Largent. Oh, did he drag his feet magnificently. Lloyd Burris had the coverage, but that was vintage Steve Largent. Watch him drag his feet. 23 yards and a 1st down.
He's done this a few times in his career. Watch this. This is how a corner pattern is supposed to be run. Look at the move there. Breaks it to the outside. I don't see a white shirt in sight. That's how good that move was. And gets his feet down. Albert Lewis in first coverage. Burris is the closest. Great concentration to be able to do that. Looking at the ball and still managing to get your feet down. Hall of Fame receiver right there.
2 catches, 44 yards. He's 41 away from the all-time record held by Charlie Joyner. You can keep track with us if you'd like. 1st down, 16-yard line. This is Warner picking his way through the defensive front of Kansas City. Aaron Pearson is the man who made the stop. Is it my imagination, or have I not called Bill Moss's name very often?
Blair Bush is doing a nice job on him, and I think they've got him a little bit confused by the trapping they were doing on him. But I think you give credit to Seattle, not only their offensive line, but their offensive scheme. They've really got Kansas City back on their heels. They're mixing up the plays well. I think if Seattle scores a touchdown here, it's going to be a tough sledding for Kansas City.
2nd down, 7. Sometimes Dave Krieg just seems to be a different quarterback in this dome than he is on the road, although he performed admirably last year. Warner diving inside the 10 to about the 8, maybe the 7, getting 5 on the carry. Aaron Pearson is the man who made the stop. Under 5.5 minutes to go in the half, so the one thing Kansas City so desperately wanted to do, that is Lloyd Burris getting up slowly. The one thing Frank Gantz wanted to do desperately is what Seattle is succeeding in doing, and that is keeping the ball on the ground and eating up the clock.
Absolutely, and that's a lot of pressure being put on this Kansas City defense, and they got enough of that last week. They don't need any more, and they certainly don't need to lose number 34 right there, Lloyd Burris.
How about that Kansas City defense? Rod Rust has come here. You remember him from New England, your days there. John, tell me about him.
One of the top defensive coaches in the league. This is his 2nd tour of duty here in Kansas City. We'll look at the play one more time as Burris goes off the field. Kurt Warner, good surge by the offensive line. You can see where Burris gets hit on the shoulder right there. I think that's probably where he got hurt. But getting back to what we were saying about Rust, took his team to the Super Bowl with the Patriots. A lot of players feel that he's a player's coach, and he's got a record. I think what happens here is that when you get a record as a coach, as a winning coach, players react to that. And I think you're going to see that eventually in Kansas City. He's a year or 2 away with this defense, but he's the best.
Wasn't he the master of the New England defense who took him to a Super Bowl?
Got to the Super Bowl. He doesn't want to tell you how many points the Bears scored in that game, though.
Oh, I'm sure he doesn't. 3rd down and 2, the ball at the Kansas City 8-yard line. Suffice it to say, 10-3 is a big enough deficit for the Kansas City offense. They do not want to fall back 17-3. Williams diving, and I believe he got the 1st down, very close to the 5-yard line. Mike Bell, who comes to play on every down, the 8-year veteran out of Colorado State, is the man who made the stop, but just a wee bit late.
Steve Moore is the offensive coordinator for Seattle, and he's calling the plays, and he's really doing a nice job of mixing up the plays. And Seattle just seems to be playing. There's Frank Gantz, the Kansas City head coach, and he just can't figure out what's going on here because his defense is on their heels most of this game. Just confused. There's Steve Moore, the offensive coordinator, as he calls the plays.
Let me correct the yardage on Largent. It's not 44 yards, it's 34 yards. So he would have 51 to go now to break the record held by Charlie Joyner. So we apologize for that 10-yard mistake. 8th play of the drive, 1st down and goal at the 5. Seattle having things much their own way. A flag is down as Williams squirms to the 2-yard line. But should this be holding against Seattle? It is indeed. Very, very costly. Aaron Pearson made the stop.
They certainly didn't need that at this particular juncture in the game.
But Kansas City did.
Yes, indeed. I don't know how many breaks Kansas City's going to get before they can take advantage. Chuck Knox is not real pleased with that call.
Number 59, offense, First down.
That's Blair Bush, the center, and when you're going up against a guy like Bill Moss, you're going to have to hold him every once in a while.
Maybe one of the reasons he's been so successful today. By the way, we've just received word that Joe Nash has a sprained knee and will not return today, so Seattle suffered a sizable loss in the middle of their defensive line, although Ken Clark has played very, very well, and they won't lose a lot. First and goal now back at the 15. Kansas City's got to dig in here. 4:19 play first half. It's a 10-3 Seattle lead. Krieg dumps it off to about the 13-yard line to his big tight end Tice. We were talking about the fact that Mike Tice doesn't have very good hands. He's had 3 catches today already.
Well, that one was in desperation because Krieg was looking into the end zone, and that terrific secondary that Kansas City has had everybody covered. Unfortunately, Krieg had enough time to look all over the field. Tice is just his outlet so he doesn't get the sack. Good coverage in the end zone by Kansas City. They're going to have to put some pressure on him, though. Kansas City is giving Krieg too much time to throw at him. When he's looking at his third receiver back there, somebody's going to get hurt sooner or later. He's going to find him.
Second down, 13. Krieg tried the quarterback draw, dropped it off. Raymond Butler at about the 10-yard line, and he falls forward to the 8. He was looking to run the ball, John. Albert Lewis is the man who made the stop after a gain of 6, but it looked to me like Krieg wanted the quarterback draw.
Well, watch Moss break through here. This may be what causes him to think about running the ball. Moss is going to sack him, so he's looking to get out of trouble. All of a sudden finds a receiver, and an excellent job by the quarterback. His 9th straight completion by Krieg. Good job to find the open receiver that time, Ray Butler.
4 receivers now for Seattle as Scansey and Blades join Butler and Largent.
That'll hurt if Burris can't come back. Looks like his left shoulder.
His replacement, by the way, is Greg Hill, number 23. And now Kevin Porter's also in there as they use 6 defensive backs in this set. Third and goal for 7. Incomplete. Is there a flag? There is. And Albert Lewis is irate.
I'm not sure why he's irate. Looked like too much contact all the way. The receiver tried to come to the inside, and Lewis wouldn't let him.
Well, Jerry Markwright's going to talk this one over with his officials.
Okay, well, let's
be
you
the
be the judge.
Pass
That's right.
interference.
Largent trying to get to the inside. Lewis just holds him. We can't do that.
He doesn't have much to holler about, does he?
That Lewis a big cornerback, though, isn't he? He's about 6'3". I don't see him that big very often in this league, and he's a good one.
And the fastest man on the team runs a 4.3740.
Made the Pro Bowl last year.
So a first and goal. A very costly error by Albert Lewis.
Yeah, but that's a tough assignment covering Largent on the goal line.
From the I formation. Try to hammer it in here with Warner sweeping right. Williams with a block. Warner's in for the touchdown. Boy, what a great block by John L. Williams.
Sure was. Williams and Millard both. The right guard out in front. That's a team touchdown. And that puts a lot of hurt on Kansas City. Sweep to the right. John L. Williams, number 32. Brian Millard, number 71. This is how it's drawn up. The only thing that could have prevented the touchdown was Warner almost fell down.
Well, last week at Denver, John L. Williams accounted for 49% of the Seattle offense. All he's done today is clear the way for 2 Kurt Warner touchdowns of 3 and 1 yards. And now Norm Johnson will try to make it a 17-3 football game out of Jeff Kemp's hold. Flags all over. Some movement in the line. It does not get any easier for Kansas City after this. It's bad enough that they had to start out their season with Cleveland and Seattle. They get Denver at home next Sunday. So in 3 weeks to start the season, the Kansas City Chiefs are playing arguably the 3 best teams in the AFC.
Encroachment foul.
And they're just not
number
doing a very good
55
job
on the defense. Penalty will be enforced on the kickoff.
That was Bosworth, I think. I thought I heard him say number 55. Well, look at the touchdown again. You just can't execute a play any better than this. The blue shirts are out in front. Kurt Warner is just waiting for the blocks to be set up, does a beautiful job of setting up the blocks, and stumbles into the end zone.
Aaron Pearson got there, but a little bit too late. So the kick by Norm Johnson is up and perfect. And with 2:26 to play in the first half, Seattle with a 17-3 lead. We'll be back with their kickoff in just a moment. Moments ago, we told you about a costly loss for Seattle in Joe Nash. Kansas City's Lloyd Burris is having x-rays taken on his left shoulder at the moment. He will not return, we are told. And so Kansas City loses its starting strong safety for the rest of the day, and down 17-3 against the vaunted offense of Seattle. It's not bode very well here for the Chiefs.
Well, they really need to get some offense. Have not scored a touchdown yet this season. And 17-3 here. It's becoming a critical time for Kansas City. I'm looking down on the sidelines to see if Steve DeBerg is warming up, and no sign of that yet.
Instead of Kevon Jenkins, they go with Paul Palmer on this kick return. First time he's been back there this year on kickoffs. Trying to get to the outside. He was the best in the AFC last year, and he gets back to about the 17-yard line, and that is all. He's run out of bounds on the far side by Dwayne Harper. And so Bill Kenney has his work cut out for him. He's got all 3 timeouts remaining. 2:15 on the clock here in the first half, and he's got to negotiate about 84 yards of real estate.
And he hasn't got a running game. At least we haven't seen it so far today. Very, very important that they at least maintain some control of the ball at this point. 2 minutes and 15 seconds left to go before the half. They've got to at least develop some kind of a drive. Whether they score or not, I think at this point isn't as important as if they just keep the ball. 17-3. Seattle has been very much in control of this one throughout, as you might guess. Seattle's offensive line, their entire offense, mixed up the defense of Kansas City. Kenney has been struggling. He hasn't been able to get anything established offensively.
And so Kansas City now starting deep in its own territory at the 16-yard line. You've chronicled this, and people back in Kansas City know all about it. But when you're playing a football game without your starting running backs, without a starting offensive lineman, and without one who may have been your starting lineup in Joe Zwiak, I mean, you've taken 4 important cogs out of this Kansas City offense, and they just weren't that talented enough that they could afford to lose even one, I think, John.
I'm not sure that any team is talented enough to lose that many good players.
Good point.
Shows you where Kansas City has had to start most of the time they've had the ball.
And conversely, Kansas City has started most of its drives from around about the same territory that it's beginning here at the 16-yard line. They have not had the best of field position.
The Seahawks have really enjoyed that.
So let's see what they do here. They've got Palmer split out wide to the right. Both Carson and Page are set up to the left, and Saxon is alone setback with Bill Kenney. Saxon gets the call for a couple of yards. A year ago, this young man was in the starting lineup of San Jose State against Eastern Illinois, and last week, a year to the day, almost to the day later, he was starting against the Cleveland Browns. We've reached the 2-minute warning here at the King Dome in Seattle. It has been pretty much the Seahawks way, looking to go 2-0. They lead at 17-3. We'll be back. Seattle Seahawks running back, Theodis Brown, taking a bow or two as he walks around the King Dome here. They really covet their stars in Seattle, I can tell you that. Second down and long. Kenney is sacked. Ken Clark, who replaced Joe Nash at the nose tackle, wasted no time in distinguishing himself.
Says Buddy Ryan, take that one. There's 5 down linemen right here, and they really put some pressure. Bosworth is the 5th man down.
Timeout.
He stands back up and drops into coverage, but pressure by everybody this time. Kenney has no place to go, and there's Clark, 67. Makes the sack.
Timeout on the field, and we'll be back after this. That Kansas City had to run the football to win today. So far, they have run the ball for 25 yards. Paul Palmer, 8 carries, 23 yards. Saxon, 1 carry, 2 yards. You're not going to win many ball games running for 25 yards and a half.
Seattle's defense has been all over him today.
This is 3rd and 18 now for Bill Kenney. They've only got 35 yards throwing the ball. Throws it off the hand, intercepted. Carson tipped it. Paul Moyer comes down with the football. And look out now. Seattle's inside the 20 of Kansas City with all of their timeouts left and 1:48 left in the half.
If you could pick the worst thing that could happen to Bill Kenney at this juncture of the game, this is it. The ball gets tipped up into the air. Receiver should have had it. Carson should have had that one. That's his mistake. Moyer's right there, nothing he can do except catch the ball, and this is serious trouble right now for Kansas City. Watch Carlos Carson, number 88, just turns up to the inside. Ball hits him right in the hands. He should have had it. Instead, it's an interception for Seattle. And when it rains, it pours.
You don't want to blame that one.
Indoors.
Yeah, you don't want to blame that one on Bill Kenney. Absolutely. So Seattle now with a chance to really hammer a nail into that Kansas City defense. It's already reeling now with a loss of Burris and down 17-3. Warner stutters, flag down again as he gets inside the 15 to the 13-yard line. Jack Del Rio tripped him up there, but as I mentioned, a flag is down, and it's holding against Seattle. So the only thing that stopped Seattle here in the second quarter has been the Seattle offense.
Number
The
71,
third holding call, and
offense.
that's been the only play
First
that
down.
stopped them. Hasn't stopped them from scoring, though, has it?
Brian Millard is the culprit, and he may be the best offensive lineman Seattle's got.
This is an offensive line that's starting to come together as a veteran group. That's him coming down the nose tackle, 71. He sort of grabs Moss by the back there, and they catch him on that one.
Well, his Kansas City defensive unit put 7 Cleveland Browns out of last week's game. They've got to play very physical to win, and while they have been periodically effective today, they haven't been nearly as effective as they've been in the past, and certainly not as physical. Butler out of bounds. Good coverage by Sidney Johnson. He just ran out of field, I think. Butler just ran out of playing field there.
Running the corner all the way into the back of the corner of the end zone on the left of your screen here. I think you're right. Initially, he's open. It looks for a second like he's might make this play, but he runs out of ground. Ball's a little late getting there. Good coverage. Sidney Johnson in his first year from California.
As we check the 10-minute ticker, the Raiders now 2 touchdowns up on Houston, as are the Vikings over New England. That ended 9 completions in a row for Krieg with that incompletion. Second down, 20. 4 receivers in the Seattle lineup. Butler comes free across the middle, and a flag is down in the secondary of the Kansas City Chiefs.
The flag is going to be against the guy that was covering Largent, I believe. I think that's who it's going to be on. They were looking for Largent originally. He got bumped downfield. And again, Krieg had time to find his secondary receiver. No doubt that Seattle wants the touchdown, though. 4 wide receivers. They're going for the end zone on each play. Jerry marked right. Illegal contact. Any second now. Give us the number of the culprit. No hiding in the National Football League. That's Neil Smith, number 90. Kansas City's #1 draft choice. We'll watch Largent, see if he gets bumped downfield. I believe this is what the call is.
Illegal
Number 80 on the
contact
left
foul.
there, the outside
Number
receiver,
20,
Kevin Ross in
defense,
coverage, and he'll come back to the
automatic first
inside.
down.
You're allowed the first bump. I don't know, that's close. I think they call him for a hand out there.
So they get Duron Cherry here as the culprit. It'll be an automatic first down, and they spot the ball at the 23-yard line now at Kansas City, so they just recycle the down box now for the Seahawks. Well, everything that could go wrong has gone wrong for the Chiefs here in the certainly in the second quarter. They played very competitively in the first. Warner, well, he just dances through the middle of the line, although he's got room in there. Getting good blocking up front from that offensive unit of Mattis, Bailey, Bush, Millard, and Wilson. They're just giving him room to dance around. Cooper's the man who made the stop. A gain of 5. It's second down and 5. You can see the clock inserted, 1:08. 1:07 to go here in the half. Warner again. And Bell's got a hold of him and drags him down from behind at about the 17-yard line. And now the Seahawks use one of their 3 timeouts. And they stop the clock with 57 seconds to go. It was Griffin who pulled him down. Number 98, not Bell, 99.
Griffin's being pushed by Neil Smith. We were just talking about him, the #1 draft choice. Griffin still has the job, but anytime you've got a #1 behind you, you're looking over your shoulder at all times. There he is right there, Neil Smith. What an athlete. I was watching him in practice yesterday, and of course it's just shorts and a light workout, but if you look at him, and he's big and he's fast. He's one of the fastest guys on the team, weighs about 260 pounds. Still hasn't got a sack yet. Didn't get any sacks in preseason and hasn't got one in the season yet, but his day will come.
Runs a 4.59 40 for a defensive lineman. In your day, defensive linemen,
hey, if you could
they
run
didn't even use the clock, did they?
If you could run a 4.5, you're a wide receiver.
I thought they used the sundial.
That's right. He's a player. Second player taken in the draft this year. Kansas City gave up a lot to get in position to draft him.
The second-round draft choice to trade up one spot in the drafting order. 3rd down and 4 at the 17. From the shotgun. All 4 receivers, Scansey and Blades, joining Largent and Button. Lofts it in the end zone. Blades, touchdown, Seattle. He beats Kevin Ross.
What a game that this rookie Blades is having today. And that's a touchdown that Kansas City did not need to give up. Seattle very much in control of this one. Blades, number 89, just beats Kevin Ross. See him on the left side of your screen there. He's got 2 steps on him. No chance. Good play. Touchdown for Brian Blades. Second-round draft choice from Miami. There he is, number 89, just using his speed to get right by Kevin Ross. Perfect pass by Krieg, and Krieg has really been on the money today.
And Kemp again will hold for the Johnson try at the extra point. Placement, the kick is up, and it's good again.
Blades' first National Football League touchdown, and you sort of get the feeling it won't be his last.
And he kept the football as a souvenir of it. It is all Seattle now, 24-3 with 51 seconds to go in the first half. Boy, they have really exploded here in the second quarter, have they not, John?
Amazing what Seattle's done. Just so much in control of this game, both offensively and defensively.
Well, I wish I could say that Bob were around, but at halftime, Bob Costas happens to be over in Seoul, but I think Frank will be there. Ahmad's not there, so part of the team will be in New York for our halftime presentation for you. Len Berman will be hosting the activities.
Can't wait till Costas comes back to tell us about the cuisine in Seoul, Korea.
Yeah, we'll have to hear about that for a year, won't we? So what do you do if you're Kansas City?
Right now, maybe you wave the white flag and maybe you just stay in the locker room for the second half. Right now, what you do is don't make any more mistakes. You play defensively right now. You want to cut your losses as much as you can, get to the locker room and regroup. 51 seconds. Don't give Seattle another chance. So I think what we'll see is Kenney just come out and they'll run a couple of plays and head for cover.
Boy, it's a tough situation when you've got to ask your offense to play defensively and not give the ball away.
I think maybe Kansas City's defense thinks they've been doing that for most of the season. They're struggling, but Seattle's causing a lot of the problems.
Palmer again at the 5-yard line, fumbles the ball. Looks around and sees nothing but a sea of blue shirts, and down he goes at the 8. My, oh my. Alonzo Mitz is the man who jarred him.
Why do you have Palmer back there in the first place? You're hurting for running backs. You've got 2 of them hurt. There's your starter back there. You shouldn't have him running back kickoffs unless somebody else is hurt. I don't think Palmer wants to be back there anymore. After that second one he's fumbled, he's lucky he didn't give up the ball right there.
Let me try to answer your question, because he led the AFC in kick returns last year. Is that a good reason?
Well, that's right, but still, he's your starting running back with all these injuries. You don't want to take a chance in running back kickoffs.
45 seconds left in the half. Kenney starts with his back to his own goalpost at the 8-yard line. Ball's knocked out of his hand. Is it free or not? Seattle's recovered the ball. Touchdown, Seattle! Jacob Green, his 4th career touchdown.
Didn't I just say something about not making any mistakes? Jacob Green not only causes the sack, but falls on the football. He'd be on the left side, number 79. Breaks clean to the inside, causes the sack, but does not give up. Knocks the quarterback down and gets the ball. I don't know what else you could do as a defensive end than that. Watch Green again. Kenney has no chance. Not only does he get hit, watch what he does right after he hits the quarterback. The ball's on the ground. Now he grabs Kenney to make sure he can't get the ball.
Oh, my.
And he winds up with a touchdown anyway.
And rewarded with a football. He now has 2 interceptions for touchdowns and 2 fumble recoveries for touchdowns. He is one remarkable football player. He has a sack already today, his 70th officially, and 3rd all-time, as I mentioned, behind Lawrence Taylor and Dexter Manley.
Kenny's going to be thinking about an early plane back home, I think. He's just not going his way at all.
It has been a nightmare so far in the first half for the Kansas City Chiefs. They're going to look at it again. That's the replay official. Green will get credit for a sack, so that means his 2nd in the game at 71st. That is right.
Well, there's the hit. He's not in the end zone at this point. Now the ball goes back.
The play is continued, so the touchdown is good. and so is the extra point. 2 touchdowns in 8 seconds for the Seattle Seahawks, who now lead it 31-3. My, oh, my.
There's Steve DeBerg.
And you have been suggesting that he might see some action?
He's looking at the scoreboard, sees the score 31-3. I don't think he wants to go in. I've never seen so many things go wrong for one football team in the one half of play. A lot of it's been caused by Seattle. They just can't play much better than they have today. But everything's gone their way.
Well, John and I were told that Frank Gans is one of the most inspirational speakers around. He is just a tremendous motivational speaker. He is going to have to pull rabbits out, I think, to get this team turned around at halftime. I'm sure he'll have some words for him. He's a wonderful guy, Frank Gans. We had a chance to meet him yesterday. He goes around every day during calisthenics and workouts and shakes hands with every player and every coach, gives them a pat on the back, an encouraging word. He's very articulate, very bright man, having his first chance to head coach a football team, his second year now. He was a 4-11 coach last year. Very optimistic, but it's going to be tough to be optimistic here today. They fumble the ball again, and this time wisely down into the end zone. That is the 3rd time the Chiefs have fumbled a kickoff in this game.
Well, now they're going to start a fight. Maybe they can win that. Well, they finally got Palmer out of there. And that's
Kevon Jenkins.
Kevon Jenkins, and he's not having a whole lot more success either.
Right through the wicket. Got a lot of help there, doesn't he? Well, he's got to be frustrated. Frank Gans.
31-3, 28 seconds left to go in the first half.
Well, we've heard it said a million times about teams that are down large deficits at halftime. They have to come out at the second half and play the game as if it were 0-0, but that's pretty hard to do. As I mentioned earlier, the 5th best home record over the last 5 years. 75% of the games they have played here in the Kingdome over the last 5 years, Seattle has won. They've won the last 5 against Kansas City. In fact, the last 11 games between these two teams have been won by the home team. So to suggest that the home field advantage is in vogue would be an understatement. I guess I'd just run the clock out here if I were.
I might concede at this point. Go in.
Palmer to about the 28-yard line. And they let the clock run down. A gain of 8 by Paul Palmer. Vernon Dean, the 7-year veteran out of San Diego State and former Washington Redskin, is the man who made the stop.
Hard to believe, but Seattle just called a timeout.
Sure they did.
Well, the way things are going for Seattle's defense, they probably figure they've got a chance to score.
Well, pardon me, their defense has called 2 of the 3 timeouts used. They called one earlier when Kansas City was in trouble deep in its own territory. The offense has used only 1 timeout.
That's Seattle's last timeout. Maybe Jacob Green called it because that touchdown he scored a moment ago was the 4th of his career. He said, hey, this is kind of fun. Maybe I'll get another one.
Well, we invite you to join us next Sunday. NBC Sports will have more exciting football action. We kick off the day with NFL Live at 12:30 Eastern. Then our regional coverage of Week 3 of the NFL season includes the defending AFC champion Denver Broncos against these Kansas City Chiefs and the Bengals and Steelers. So check your local listings for the game in your area. Palmer on the sweep. And I think Frank Gans, as I suggested, just happy to get to the dressing room here with everybody intact. They'll let the clock run down, and that will bring to an end the first half. Brian Bosworth, who has not done an awful lot, although their defense hasn't been on the field a great deal, is the man who made the stop. And there is an injury timeout.
You know, Brian Bosworth, obviously a very controversial figure. I think sometimes it gets overlooked that he's a pretty good football player, too. And maybe he's decided this year that now's the time to show people that he can play as well as talk. Pick out the number of who the injured Seattle player is.
I think it's Patrick Hunter, is it not?
I think so.
Being attended to.
You know, Fred Young didn't much care for Bosworth, and there was a lot of controversy there. But I understand that on this team right now that Brian is very much accepted among his peers.
John, this injury has to deeply concern Chuck Knox. They can ill afford to lose another cornerback. Of course, Kenney Easley is retired with that horrible kidney ailment that forced him out of the game of football. But with Terry Taylor on a 30-day suspension, Jenkins already playing, although he's a quality cornerback. Now with Hunter down, Knox has got to be deeply concerned about it, particularly in a 31-3 football game.
Well, he's concerned about it for the remainder of the season. I don't think he's too worried about the second half.
No.
But you're right. They really are deep, not very deep in that secondary. I'm not going to guess on what the problem is here, but see if you can pick it out. He's caught underneath the pile there. You know, with Terry Taylor out, Sam, Melvin Jenkins is no slouch as a cornerback. He's had some experience. The Seattle coaches feel that he can fill very nicely for Taylor. Jenkins has played well, but that's about it as far as depth is concerned.
Well, this does not bode well for Patrick Hunter. Let's take a short break. 17 seconds left in the half. We'll be back. Back live in the Kingdome. They helped Hunter off the field. Here's a swing pass now to Palmer. He's out of bounds. The injury has not been diagnosed as yet, and Patrick Hunter was carried off the field by a couple of his teammates. He did not appear to be in great pain, and we just hope that it's not a serious injury for both him and Seattle.
Looks like they're looking at his ankle, cutting the tape off of his shoe there. Replaced by Dwayne Harper, I believe.
An 11th round draft choice out of South Carolina State, and that is it. Now, they picked up Lou Brock today, so they do have an additional cornerback. They picked him up this week. He was a former number 2 draft choice of the San Diego Chargers out of Southern Cal, was cut by the Chargers, and the Seahawks signed him this week. So they've got Lou Brock, but if they get down to Brock and Harper, they're going to have some problems back there. Kenney dumps it off to Palmer, steps out of bounds with 6 seconds left in the half.
Seattle's got a couple of veteran safeties. They're not necessarily corners in Vernon Dean and Nesby Glasgow, and I wouldn't be surprised if worse came to worse, and that one of those could possibly fill in a cornerback. But it's not an ideal situation because I don't think Chuck's too worried about it right now, leading 31-3. He says he's conservative. He's got a book coming out, too.
You took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say it's bad enough that Boz has one out that's selling like hotcakes, but Chuck Knox has got one, and presumably it won't sell quite as good as the Boz, but I hear it's a brilliantly written book. Kenney goes for it all on the last play of the half. The Hail Mary, it's knocked down by Tony Woods, I believe, and the half comes to an end on that note. And my, oh my, what a great second half for the Seattle Seahawks. We had a 3-3 ball game at the end of a quarter. And the Seattle Seahawks have gone on to score 4 touchdowns in the second quarter. They lead it 31-3 at the Chiefs at the moment. It was a 3-3 ball game at the end of a quarter, Kansas City fans. But then in the second quarter, all hell broke loose, didn't it, John?
I've never seen Seattle play so well. They haven't made any mistakes. And what really is impressive about them is the fact they've overcome all this adversity that they've had off the field. There's Warner scoring the first of 2 touchdowns. You'll see it again. This is a sweep to the right as Warner gets his second touchdown. Beautiful blocking out front by Millard and Williams. And it's been all Seattle. And it really is kind of impressive. You watch Krieg here for a touchdown into the end zone. This is to Brian Blades, his first NFL touchdown.
He's going to be a dandy, isn't he?
And the fourth one will be Jacob Green on a sack, picking up a touchdown here on the left of your screen as he sacks Kenney and then recovers the ball as well for his 4th career NFL touchdown. But anyway, I was talking about how Seattle has overcome all this adversity off the field and playing so well in their first 2 games.
What do you do? I mean, I don't mean to be facetious about it. 31-3, it takes a genius to find out, turn it around. But you've gone in the dressing room many times. You know you're a paid professional athlete. You got to come back out here and play a second half.
You really haven't got much chance. Let's be honest about it. Kansas City has really no chance whatsoever. They just got to play it, keep their pride. Maybe they get a break. They need to score 8 touchdowns. They haven't scored a touchdown yet this season. I think that's the first step.
Well, the thing that has to be somewhat depressing to Frank Gans is the defensive unit played so outstandingly well against Cleveland last week, and then they come here and they get their brains beaten out for all intents and purposes in the second quarter. I mean, now he's got an offense he's worried about. Now he's got to worry about his defense.
You know, a lot of times that happens to teams here in Seattle. The crowd becomes a part of this game, and when things start to go badly, it's like a snowball effect, and that's what's happened to Kansas City. Nothing is happening right for Kansas City today.
All right, how about a quarterback change? We talked about the fact that Bill Kenney did not put any touchdowns on the board against Cleveland. He hasn't done anything here in the first half. Is that the answer to your problems or not, John?
It's not the answer today, but I think they've got to consider that in the long haul. I'm not sure that DeBerg wants to go in a situation like this, but I wouldn't be surprised if they consider it during the week next week. Well, the stats pretty much tell you the story. At 31-3, you'd expect this. Seahawks have run the ball extremely well, but look at that passing, 86 yards passing. They really haven't had to pass the ball that often. They got a touchdown from their defense. The turnovers, 3 Kansas City turnovers, one of them for a touchdown. To make matters worse, Seattle has it first shot out of the box in the second half.
So we've got a 31-3 football game. This is Nick Lowry kicking off to Seattle. Bobby Joe Edmonds back at the 11-yard line. Running to his right. Turns it up the field across the 20 to about the 25-yard line. Stop there. And Kansas City's opportunity now to play some defense and stop Seattle on its first possession presents itself. This is a football team that is desperate need of some confidence building along the way. And despite the fact it would seem that the game would be hopelessly lost here in the third quarter, the thing they can do is to build on their own confidence, do some things good in the second half, because there are still 14 games to play after this, John, as you well know.
That's right. This defense today is right now going to make some turnovers. They're going to have to take charge. The offense is struggling. The defense is going to have to do something quickly.
And David Krieg is still in at quarterback. He's got Warner and Williams still behind him. This is John L. Williams getting to the outside and brought down after a very short yardage gain. Stopped by Neil Smith, the #1 draft choice out of Nebraska.
He's wearing that visor that so many players are wearing now, the shades on the visor. They say it's because they don't want the guy blocking him or the guy trying to tackle him, don't want him to see his eyes. I'm not sure it really matters with a defensive lineman, but you have to be tops in fashion at any rate.
Yeah, of course. Gain of about 2, 2nd down and 8. Alvin Powell has replaced Edwin Bailey at offensive left guard. Other than that, Seattle has its first offensive unit on the field. And Bailey was slightly injured going into the ball game, so that's understandable. They thought they might have to go with Powell all day today. So no sense risking him now. Pass is incomplete by Krieg. It'll be 3rd down and 8. Here it is again. The opportunity for David Krieg. He's converted on 7 of 9 3rd down opportunities. He just seems to relish the opportunity.
Hasn't he been sharp today? He really has. He's really controlled this offense. Very much in control of it all throughout. 10 of 13 for 93 yards and a touchdown in the first half. But really in charge out there.
And repeating again, if you've just joined us, Lloyd Burris injured his shoulder in the first half. Had it x-rayed, will not return today. Joe Nash, a sprained knee, will not return today for Seattle. Krieg on 3rd down. Completes it to Scansey. And he might have dived ahead for the first down. It depends on where they spot the football. I don't know if they're going to give him all of his forward progress. Duron Cherry is the man who made the stop.
I think you can see what Chuck Knox thinks about the call.
And Cherry standing right in front of him. Duron has made a livelihood at the expense of Seattle. 7 career interceptions against the Seahawks. 6 of them at the expense of Krieg.
I think Chuck can relax a little bit over there. I don't think this call is going to be the turning point of the game.
No, but I don't think he wants to lose any momentum either.
That's a good point, Sam. With 31-3, you've got the ball first shot out of the box in the second half, and you want to at least maintain some possession for a while.
They bring the sticks in all the way from the near side of the field for the measurement. The referee, Jerry Markbright, and it's still good enough, so his screaming was in vain. Didn't make any difference.
Out of the shotgun, Krieg over to the right side. Let's see if he does get it to the sticks right there. Sort of slides forward. Now the knee is what counts. I thought his knee was across the yard marker there. Maybe Chuck was right. Doesn't matter. Still a first down.
36-yard line, the line of scrimmage, just underway here in the third quarter. Seattle leads it 31-3 over Kansas City on the heels of that very impressive win at Denver last Sunday, 21-14. The problem with Seattle in the past, as you well know, John, is the fact that they have played brilliant games like this only to fall flat on their faces the next week. That has not happened this week. That, more than anything else, may be the most encouraging sign for Chuck Knox and his Seattle team.
Exactly. If it were going to happen, it certainly would have happened this week, because that was a huge win for them last week in Denver. Not too many teams go into Denver and win. They did. You know they were feeling good about that, and yet they took care of business here in the second week. They could have easily had a letdown against Kansas City.
Steve Largent with just 2 catches for 34 yards. He needs 51 more yards to break Charlie Joyner's record. And it would seem that Seattle will probably throw only sparingly today. Lewis Cooper with a good defensive play. The fourth-year linebacker out of Western Carolina.
He's in there in place of Jack Del Rio. Did a nice job that time. John L. Williams was the lead blocker. He couldn't get Cooper on the ground. Cooper made the play. 3rd and long now for Seattle. 3rd and 9.
They have converted 8 out of 10 today, and they led the National Football League in third down conversions last year. Not 80%, but like they are today, but certainly better than 50% of their third down conversions. 4 wide receivers in for Krieg in his offense. He has not been harassed much at all today. Shy of the first down, Kansas City will get the football. Dino Hackett made the stop after a gain of short yardage, and the pursuit there by Mike Bell and also Neil Smith. So Kansas City trying to get some heat on Krieg, something they did not do in the first half, but understandably so. Seattle ran the ball so effectively, they had to sit and wait for that.
That's right. Krieg is not a scrambling quarterback. He likes to stay in the pocket. You saw him do it that time. Just wasn't anybody open.
Kittrick Taylor in single safety, awaiting this punt by Ruben Rodriguez, only his second punt of the day. When you score 31 points in the first half, it goes without saying you don't have to kick the ball very much, or punt the ball, I should say. They kicked it plenty. Good high spiral. Taylor will field it at his own 11. Far sideline. Spins and reaches the 20 and out of bounds. And let's see who comes out the quarterback this Kansas City Chiefs offense in the second half. It is going to be Steve DeBerg, I believe. We'll be back right after this.
After flying so many aircraft, I'm not easily impressed with car performance. Then I drove the Cutlass Supreme pace car at the Indy 500. I was impressed.
In USAC test, Cutlass Supreme out-cornered the BMW 325 and braked better than the Ford.
Sam Nover and John Morris at the Kingdome in Seattle. 31-3. The Seahawks lead it. 11:15 to go third quarter. Steve DeBerg desperately wants to quarterback the Kansas City Chiefs. He will get a chance now, but I don't think he wanted them under these circumstances, John.
He didn't look real happy going in there. I think they had to give him a bonus to get him on the field.
Good line. First down. Saxon in the flat, spins across the 20 to about the 22-yard line.
I think really the reason he's in there at this point is that Bill Kenney is shell-shocked. It's just not going to accomplish anything by leaving him in there as far as the psychology of Kenney at any rate.
Here's your 10-minute ticker. Get you caught up on other scores around the league. Alan Pinkett has 2 touchdowns for Houston, although they trail 28-21. Big day for the Vikings. Kramer's got a touchdown pass in that game. The Eagles, in a real good ball game with Cincinnati, have just taken the lead. Tony Dorsett moved to 3rd on the all-time rushing list today in that Denver ball game, passing Franco Harris. Stephon Page with the reception. Kansas City gets a first down.
DeBerg's in his 12th year in the league. Kansas City got him from Tampa Bay in the offseason. He's lost his starting job in a lot of places, but some pretty good players he lost it to. Montana, Elway, Testaverde, Steve Young. Here to Stephon Page on the outside, number 83. A simple curl.
Is that his first catch of the day? I believe that was Page's, no? Where have I been, right? First down, 12 yards on the completed pass, 10:36 to go. Third quarter. That was deflected, intended for Carlos Carson. Somebody got a hand on it, and it floated aimlessly for a while. Might have been Alonzo Mitz who got one of his big mitts on it.
I think it was Mitz, number 61. Take a look. He's the one right there in the middle of your screen. Got a hand on it. Good pressure. That's what Seattle's got to do. They pressure the quarterback throughout this game, but they can't let up now just because they're up 31-3. Don't let DeBerg come in there and have plenty of time back there to throw it.
Let me correct something I said a moment ago. That was Ruben Rodriguez's first punt in the game, not his second. It was his second attempt. You may remember he fumbled the original one. They ended up bobbling the ball all around. It was an interception is what it ended up. But that was the first time he actually punted the ball in the game. 2nd and 10. DeBerg over the middle. Bosworth almost had the interception. It was intended for Alfredo Roberts, the rookie out of Miami, the starting tight end. And the Boz almost had himself the football and maybe 6 points because it could have been clear sailing.
Watch the offensive lineman collide. A mistake back there. Bosworth not exactly known for his hands.
No,
good speed to get out there.
He goes all the way if he gets that because he's got the great speed. And it was a clear field, and nobody would have caught him from behind, I don't believe. I think he dropped a couple in the Denver game, did he not? He's had problems holding on to the football. The only chink in his armor is a great football player. Pressure, caught, first down. Into Seattle territory at the 47, Emil Harry, the second-year receiver out of Stanford. And DeBerg's really got him flying here. Looks very good. 17 yards on the completed pass.
DeBerg's right on the money. He gets a little time this time to find his receiver downfield, but he really zips it. Got a very strong arm. A little tight spiral, right on the numbers. Finally got the offense moving. First time we've seen him the entire game.
And I remind you, he beat Dwayne Harper there, the rookie cornerback, who's replaced Patrick Hunter. Palmer. Boy, it makes the running game a little easier when you throw effectively, doesn't it?
The draw that time. Palmer for 6 yards.
Excuse me, John. David Wyman is the man who made the stop. 2nd down and 4. Paul Moyer was also there. 9.5 minutes to go, and this has been the one bright, shining hope for the Kansas City offense in this game. They have moved the ball a bit here after the punt by Rodriguez. Palmer. Tony Woods had him hemmed in, and they ran him out of bounds for a loss. Wyman finally got him out of bounds, but it was Woods who really killed the play at penetration.
Woods and Wyman, the two linebackers in the 3-4 over on that right side. And fans haven't heard too much about them, at least not around the country. They certainly know them here in Seattle. Woods was drafted #1 the same year that Bosworth was, and Wyman was drafted #2 from Stanford. And these two guys really coming into their own this year. Wyman, a big, tough guy on the inside. Woods with a lot of speed on the outside.
Of course, this defensive linebacking core of Seattle, as good as it is, has got to miss Fred Young. And he got the Indianapolis to play to that ball game today, by the way, but Seattle getting 2 first-round draft choices in the trade. DeBerg complete. Stephon Page with the first down again.
You know, hats off to Mike McCormick, the Seattle president and general manager, I think, to get 2 #1s for Fred Young. I'm surprised he was able to do that. I was talking to him about that, and I said, I'm surprised that Indianapolis even had 2 #1s after the Dickerson deal. And he said, I thought about that too as we watched the replay. So that crossed my mind. It turned out it was really Buffalo that had the give up the #1s when they got Cornelius Bennett. But anyway, I think it's a good move to get 2 #1s for those guys.
I asked Chuck Knox the other day if all things being equal, Fred Young didn't have a contract now, so still wanted to play, would you give up 2 firsts? He said, no way in the world. So they did it out of necessity. They wouldn't have done it if they had a choice. A little tall for Page at the sideline.
This is the kind of pass that receivers just don't like at all, when you got to go up and expose the ribs. Stephon Page on the sideline. You see it, number 83 here. He makes a good effort for it, but you don't want to do this. He'll do it on the sideline, but over the middle, you got that cornerback behind you. Cornerback let him off easy. That's Dwayne Harper, number 29.
2nd down and 10. The ball 35-yard line. The 10th play of this drive by DeBerg. His first series as a Kansas City Chief in a regular season game. And he's looked very impressive. 8:29 to go here in the 3rd quarter. Unfortunately for him, he's down 31-3. He has got a monstrous hill to climb. Saxon for about 5. Jeff Bryant tripped him up. 7-year veteran out of Clemson, who also was a contract holdout, but got back in time for the regular season.
Yeah, he played last week with about, I think he had 2 days of practice, which just goes to show you what training camp is worth, I guess, for the veterans.
Maybe that's why they do it. 3rd down and 6.
You rest assured, a lot of veterans do that. There's no question about it. Double sessions are not a lot of fun, and a lot of veterans call it a contract holdout.
Well, there's one linebacker in Pittsburgh who still hasn't come back, Mike Merriweather. And Mike McCormick is rumored to be very interested in him, willing to give up at least one of the 2 choices he got in the Fred Young deal to get Merriweather. Pass is complete. Another first down at the 20-yard line. Carlos Carson, what a great drive by DeBerg. Of course, it must be said, Seattle just doesn't want to give up a big play too soon. I would think they're playing a little bit soft back there, John.
Well, possibly a little soft. They're not putting the pressure on the quarterback. That time, Carlos Carson curled up with plenty of room, a lot of cushion. But DeBerg is really throwing the ball well, and that's helped, no question about that.
At the 20-yard line. Deepest penetration of the Chiefs since the 1st quarter. Over the middle, Saxon to the 10. Beats the Maz right at that point and still fights. Tough little kid, isn't he? I think you'll object to being referred to as a kid. Rookie out of San Jose State, only 5'11", 215. undersized for Kansas City fullbacks. Moriarty wears 237, and Okoye, their starter, at near 240 or more.
From the end zone, watch Bosworth, number 55, come over here. Not a lot of movement forward once Bosworth hits you.
Good tough run by Saxon. They spot the ball inside the 10.
I think you're going to hear a lot more about Bosworth as a football player rather than the books and things off the field.
First and goal to go for the Chiefs, looking for their first touchdown in 7 quarters of the 87 season. Palmer won't get it. Bosworth along with Mitz combined to make the stop. A lot of pride in that Seattle defense.
That was the Boz underneath as he's getting up slow. He made the original hit. Sliced in underneath and makes the hit down low. There's Palmer trying to cut back. There's Boz 55. Good play. Maybe he can't catch the ball in coverage, but he's right up in there on the running game.
Second down and goal just inside the 10-yard line. Wouldn't it be Kansas City's luck? They get a first and goal, and they got to go 9.9 yards. Batted down at the line of scrimmage by Ken Clark. They knocked 6 of John Elway's passes out of the air last week from all different angles, and Clark got his big mid up and knocked it down here.
Clark right over the center right there, number 67. This happens so many times when you're not making any pressure on the quarterback, so in desperation you just jump up, and that drives an offensive lineman crazy when that happens. Tom Baugh, the center, looking back and saying, what more can I do? Clark came from Philadelphia. They just picked him up, but Buddy Ryan let him go. Had a great career there. Glad to be here, and he's pushing Joe Nash at nose tackle.
I've been informed that Brian Blades, who had that great first half, had some ligament problems and will not return today. 5 for 10 in third down conversions. And they're going for their third in a row, and Kansas City won't let them get, or rather Seattle won't let them get the playoff.
Timeout, Kansas City.
And DeBerg has to call a timeout here. So the 12th man, which has always been instrumental in Seattle's defense, helps again. We'll be back. Third down and 10 now for the Chiefs. 6 defensive backs, and this crowd is really humming now. They want to prevent them getting in the end zone, and it's intercepted in the end zone. Eugene Robinson. Stephon Page was the intended receiver. You'll see it again here.
First bad pass that DeBerg has thrown. Robinson had the position on this into the end zone. Threw it right to him. Nice play by Robinson. Just not Kansas City's day.
He threw it where Page was supposed to be, not where he was. So Robinson with the interception. Still 31-3, and Kansas City still doesn't have...
Touchdown of the season. DeBerg just forces it into the end zone. Trying to find Page. Instead, forces it into coverage, and Robinson comes up with the interception. The 4th turnover.
2 fumble recoveries, 2 interceptions by Seattle. They lead at 31-3, but an excellent drive by DeBerg. However, it ended in disaster. So Seattle begins with Krieg still in there. And John L. Williams. They still have, I think, pretty much their first unit out there. You know, Chuck Nolan Pittsburgh has a theory about that. Even when you got a big lead, keep your first teamers there, because if you don't, you're telling the other team that you've beaten them, and it's an erroneous signal. He feels you play your first teamers right to the end.
Well, I'm certainly not going to disagree with Chuck Knox because he's got the record to back up whatever he wants to do. But I don't know about that, Sam. I think you don't want to take a chance with injuries. It's a long season. This game is over. Why take a chance?
Certainly 2 arguments. Those are both sides of the coin. Second down and 4. Second down and 6, I beg your pardon. Williams with a gain of 4. Still got Warner and Williams in the backfield. This is Williams. And he falls at the 25. Clock continues to move. 4:37, 4:36 to go here in the third quarter. Kevin Porter has replaced Deron Cherry at the free safety. And Leonard Griffin obviously has alternated a great deal today with Neil Smith and Mike Bell at the defensive end positions for Kansas City. None of it, however, seemed to work for them.
I think I'd give Kurt Warner the rest of the day off, especially with his history of injuries. You've got a couple of running backs behind him, Randall Morris, Tommy Agee, that can play.
Tommy Kane on the field. Split out wide to the left now for Seattle. Paul Scansey out there. 4 receivers. Blades is hurt, as I mentioned, so that's why Kane is there, and he gets the pass, and he can't hang on to it. The rookie out of Syracuse, the number 3 draft choice. And we got an interference call here against Kevin Ross.
I guess that's what it's going to be. Well, no, he said he was down. 4th down, I think Jerry Markwright is saying.
Have they given him the completion? Is that the deal?
Evidently, yeah. Kevin Ross very upset about this.
My goodness.
Well, I think he caught it. Well, no, he didn't.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
No, he didn't. No wonder you're upset, Kevin. I don't blame you.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Yes, sir. Let's take a look at that one. It doesn't mean a lot to the game, but it does to the players who are out there playing for pride, and that was not a completed pass.
Shouldn't take too long to decide this one. Yeah, it's not going to be the turning point in this game, but nevertheless, Kane, as the officials look at it again, we'll get another chance to look at it too. Our first controversy at 31-3.
Kittrick Taylor is back in single safety, awaiting what he expects to be a punt.
Yeah, the official came in and signaled it a catch, as you can see, and that was why Kevin Ross was so upset.
And our friends up in the replay booth again.
Well, we had to wake him up there. That's what's taking so long.
The communicator is Don Anderson, who for many years was the public relations director of the Seattle Seahawks, now owns his own public relations firm. He is to the left of your screen. Did a great job when he was here with the Seahawks. I had the pleasure of working with Don a number of times, and now doing very well in private business, but can't stay away from the stadium. Comes in here on Sundays and is the communicator down to the field.
The official actually in the middle there looking at it is a member of the officiating crew. He will travel with Jerry Markwright in the white hat there throughout the season. The applause is for Brian Bosworth, who has just come back onto the field from the locker room.
Review, the play
go back and check on his book skills, I guess.
And they have allowed the completion. After further review, it's 4th down, so they have given Kane the catch.
And the punt team stays on the field.
And Kittrick is back where he's been all along. Rodriguez punting for just the 2nd time in the game. If you joined us late, it was a 3-3 football game as Johnson and Lowry exchanged field goals in the 1st quarter. And in the 2nd quarter, Seattle just simply took control of this game, took a death squeeze on it. Kittrick stays away from it. And Seattle was down the ball inside the 30-yard line. It was touched up around the 26 or 27. They will not allow it to be dead there.
2 Kansas City players back upfield collided as they were trying to rush the kicker. And both of them are downfield, down on the field at the 20-yard line. That hurt. I could see that one.
One of them is Sidney Johnson, the young cornerback out of California. Boy, they are down.
Kevin Ross,
Kevin Ross, number 31.
They were both on the outside, one on the right and one on the left. Watch it right in front of the kicker here as they both go for the ball, as they're supposed to do. They're diving in front of the ball. There they are right there, and they collide.
Oh, my goodness. They banged heads. So Johnson and Ross are down. We'll take a break. Hopefully they'll be fine. 31-3 with 3:11 to go, 3rd quarter. We'll be back. Don't forget, NBC Sports coverage of the '88 Summer Olympics Games begins this Thursday night, 9 o'clock Eastern, 8 Central, and mounting a special preview. Meet the men and women of the Games, 11,000 strong from over 160 nations, all sharing that dream of Olympic gold. On Friday, NBC presents coverage, one of the grandest spectacles on earth. That's the opening ceremony of the Games of the 24th Olympiad, only on NBC and live, of course.
Kansas City still looking for their first touchdown of the season. Kansas City is known for their kick blocking abilities. Frank Gans used to be the special teams coach. But look what happens here when you don't block the kick. Sidney Johnson and Kevin Ross. Ooh, that hurts.
They both went off under their own power, being attended to on the sideline, so we hope to get a good report on them. Intercepted and dropped by Wyman. David Wyman had the ball in his hands and dropped the football. So Seattle, who has 4 turnovers already in this game, has had opportunities for at least 2 more.
Wyman's upset, but no reason to be upset. If he could catch the ball, he'd be playing tight end. Good play. He had the best shot at it. Number 92, the bird throws it right to him.
The intended receiver was Paul Palmer out of the backfield. 2nd down and 10. The ball at the 28-yard line in Kansas City. DeBerg was 6 for 11 on his last drive, 64 yards. And got him down to the inside the 10-yard line. We got nothing out of it. 3:07 to go, third quarter. KC still without its first touchdown this year. DeBerg has a man wide open. Palmer at midfield. And a first down. In chase was Eugene Robinson, who intercepted the ball in the end zone to thwart their last attempt. But a big first down and 23 yards on the play.
DeBerg really has thrown the ball well, with the exception of the interception on the last drive. He really has thrown it well, and he got a lot of playing time in preseason. This time he sees Palmer out of the backfield, lays it right in there over the defender's shoulder. Kansas City still looking for the first touchdown of the season.
Steve DeBerg in his 12th year out of San Jose State. John mentioned, played in San Francisco, Denver, Tampa. Dumps it off. Nothing doing there. Larry Moriarty for maybe a yard. You know, the thing about DeBerg is that everybody remembers him with San Francisco, Denver, and Tampa Bay. But I think things people forget is that he was originally drafted by Dallas. Never made the club. He was released in the preseason back in 1977. As you check our 10-minute ticker, Jets still up on Cleveland. That would be a huge upset.
Kozar still out.
Minnesota in an easy ball game. The Raiders giving Houston all they can handle today. Denver's got a laugher. As I mentioned, Tony Dorsett, we're third now all-time on the rushing list ahead of Franco. Philadelphia leading Cincinnati and hanging on. Here it's 31-3, the Seahawks. Second and 10. Dumps it off to Moriarty again. Lowers his head. Melvin Jenkins wisely got out of the way. Gain of about 5 on the completed pass. It'll be 3rd down and 5 now for Kansas City to sustain the drive. Although I got to think they're in 4-down territory on every possession here, John.
Absolutely. And when you're down 31-3, you don't want to have to be dumping the ball off your outlet back, and that's what DeBerg did that time. Good coverage downfield by Seattle, as they've done throughout this game.
Every time I see helmets collide like Johnson and Ross, I think of Timmy Lewis up in Green Bay a few years ago.
Really thing.
3rd and 5. Got good protection. Page is wide open at the 30 and out of bounds at the 25. Stephon Page. Nesby Glasgow had the coverage. 7th catch of the day for Stephon Page. He's having a great afternoon. One of the very few in red and white.
Got to be very frustrating for Page to think about that, though, when he looks at his numbers and the 7 catches and he says, hey, how come I'm losing 31-3? Nesby Glasgow in coverage this time. Veteran came over here from the Colts. He's way behind. Stephon Page. Right down the sideline. How many catches? 7 for 72 yards.
18 on that. DeBerg, look at this. All in the 3rd quarter. But he hasn't gotten him into the end zone yet. Well, they've had a history of quarterback problems. Good catch on the far side by Page. Coverage by Harper, but there was simply nothing he could do about that. DeBerg threw it the only place that it could be caught by Page, and that was right along the ground.
Actually, DeBerg has really thrown the ball pretty well, hasn't he? I wonder what happens next week when you get back to Kansas City.
Well, you know, I'm thinking about the history of this club. I guess it's Len Dawson. The quarterback situation just has never been settled. Todd Blackledge, of course, was a disappointment. They spent a first round on him, picked him ahead of, you know the story now. It's been chronicled. Picked him ahead of almost everybody but Elway in that great quarterback draft. And he didn't work out, and Kenney's been up and down. They had, was it Frank Sire who was there for a while? Young man who was very promising young quarterback, and all of a sudden you turn around and he's been waived. So they've just had some problems at quarterback, and you just can't win in this league without a good one.
Well, it's probably just as well for Kenney that if he's going to have a game like this, it happened here rather than back home.
The delay is for the replay official again, as they're going to see whether or not that was a good catch.
I thought the ball hit the ground over there, too, when it originally happened. Anyway, getting back to Kenney. The crowd got on him a little bit last week, and I think that's been a history in Kansas City. And we'll look at the replay again. See if the ball hits the ground first over here, or the rug. Page on the outside here. Scoops it up. Does it? Yeah, it did.
Yep, and that's what they've ruled. So they have reversed the original call, and they have brought it back to the 25-yard line. By the way, if you're interested, just a little piece of trivial information for you. Last year, have any idea how many reversals there were by the replay official?
No, but I think you're going to tell me.
58.
50. There were
And
that many.
the previous year, 37. So,
you in favor of that, Sam?
yeah, I am. Yes, I am. I like the rule. I think you might as well play the game. These guys are out there playing for everything they're worth. You might as well take advantage of everything you got in technology and make sure the game is played as perfectly as possible. DeBerg, completed pass inside the 20-yard line to Carlos Carson. Vernon Dean, the veteran, had the coverage, but that'll be a little shy of a first down. Let's go to New York now for an NFL Live update, and here is Len Berman.
Thank you, Sam Nover in Denver. The Broncos roll on. John Elway throwing a second touchdown pass of the afternoon. 24 yards to Vance Johnson. It's 31-3, Denver over San Diego. Let's go back to Sam Nover and John Morris now.
Thank you, Len, very much. 31-3. Kansas City now with a third down and 3 at the 18-yard line of Kansas City. DeBerg's had him down here twice, has yet to put the ball in the end zone. Little play action. Palmer, and I guess the whistle must have blown in the din of the crowd noise here. Nobody heard it, but a whistle has blown, stopping the clock. And it was the end of the third quarter, so the play never got off before the quarter ended. That was what it's all about. Looked like a good play, didn't it? That's the way it's going for Kansas City all day. A good play and the quarter ends. We're at the end of 3 quarters. The Seahawks are in command. We'll be back. With John Morris, Sam Nover back at the Kingdome in Seattle. Good to have you with us on this Sunday afternoon in the West and early Sunday evening in the East. Steve DeBerg has done a very, very good job replacing Bill Kenney here in the second half, but he has yet to get his team in the end zone. He's got a 3rd and 3 now at the Seattle 18-yard line with the Chiefs trailing 31-3. They have not scored a touchdown now in 7 quarters to start the 1988 NFL regular season, and that has got to be of a concern to head coach Frank Gans. Because you can't win many games if you don't score touchdowns. Over the middle, caught and dropped. I think it was intended for Roberts.
Good play by Vernon Dean. I think he might have got a hand on that.
No, it might have been. Was that
218 total yards for the Seahawks? That's a little bit deceiving because Kansas City's had the ball most of the time in the third quarter. The fact Kansas City has 7 first downs in the third quarter to Seattle's 1.
It was 81, not 87. Darrell Colbert, the second-year receiver out of Texas Southern, and not Alfredo Roberts. So on 4th down, obviously, Kansas City will go for it. Fires it out here, and it's caught for the first down and out of bounds. Carlos Carson. When in doubt, go to your best receiver, and he did. Paul Moyer ran him out on the near sideline. That will be a first down for Kansas City, and let's see where they bring it in and spot the ball at about the 12-yard line.
Interesting. Seattle's got a safety blitz. There's Glasgow on the right, and DeBerg reads it and takes advantage of it, but up 31-3, and they're blitzing the safeties. Never let them up, right?
No.
If you got them down, don't let them up.
Ain't that the truth? Kansas City, Seattle scored 28 points in the second quarter. No reason why KC can't score 28 in the fourth. Well, there is, but I won't enumerate all of them. First down at the Seattle 12-yard line. DeBerg pumps, has a man over the middle. Fumbles the ball. Colbert, and he got it back. He reached out with the one arm that he had free and got it back. Wouldn't that have been disastrous?
And lost a couple of yards in the process, I think, after all that effort, minus 2 yards. That's the way it's going for Kansas City. Colbert from your left coming across the middle of the screen. Number 81. Drops the ball. I guess about the only good thing you can say about this for Kansas City is he got it back. Seattle's been just everywhere on defense today. It seems like every time a Kansas City guy's got the ball, you see 3 or 4 blue shirts.
So they spot the ball back at the 15. Actually, a loss of almost 3 on the play. 2nd and 13. Now they got to waste time and get Emil Harry over to the correct side. Only 3 seconds on the 45-second clock. He just got it off. Batted down in his face. They do it again.
I think it was Ken Clark again.
Yeah, we got a little fight going on out there, too.
Flag down also.
57, Tony Woods. Mixing it up with, I think, Was that Tom Ball, the center for Kansas City?
All sorts of things to be settled out there as Jerry Markwright in the white hat gets in there to sort it out.
Second time that Ken Clark has batted a pass back at DeBerg here in this quarter.
Clark is number 67, lined up over the right guard. You see him taking a stunt to the outside.
Illegal formation foul.
Just times it perfectly, jumps up and knocks it
on the line
down.
of scrimmage. Penalty declined. Third down.
So the penalty declined now by Seattle. It'll be third down and 13 at the 15-yard line. They've gotten down inside the 20 now twice, looking to push it into the end zone for the first time this season.
Clark's got a chance to play on this team. A veteran they picked up in Philadelphia, Joe Nash, has been struggling at nose tackle with injuries. In fact, I think he's out today with an injury second half.
Kansas City paid a fairly good price for DeBerg, too, giving up Mark Robinson and a 4th and 8th round draft choice in 1988. DeBerg into the end zone. Touchdown! Stephon Page. How about that? I think that was his 8th or 9th reception of the day. DeBerg with high fives all around. But Kansas City has broken the ice and scored a touchdown here in its 8th quarter of the season.
Here it is again. Page up on the right there. Number 83, the inside receiver, just heads straight down the field. It's a post almost. Three defenders right there, but he was wide open. First touchdown of the season for Kansas City. A long time coming.
So Nick Lowry will attempt the extra point.
Looks like Lou Brock was in there too, and that is a famous name, isn't it?
Yeah, and he is the son of the former Baseball Hall of Famer. And the kick is up by Lowry and good.
Guess he figured baseball was too slow for him. Huh?
One more time for Mr. DeBerg. You can cherish this, Kansas City fans. The famine is over. You got a touchdown at 31-10. We'll be back with the KC kickoff in a moment.
Today's game is brought to you by Bud Light, proud sponsor of the 1988 U.S. Olympic team. Everything else is just a light. By Mazda and the exciting new Mazda cars and trucks for 1989. And by First Brands Corporation, makers of STP oil treatment.
And this Kansas City kickoff is sponsored by Budweiser, the king of beers. Edmonds at his own 5. Right up the middle to the 20 and falls forward to the 25-yard line. Stopped there by Gary Baldinger, who's been a very effective special teams player for Kansas City today. 20 yards on the return. And the Seahawks have it, 1st and 10 at their own 25.
Interesting to see what the Seahawks do right now. Obviously keep the ball on the ground, but will they do it with their starting running backs? Yes, I believe they are. Looks like Warner and Williams both in there. Need to use up some time right now.
DeBerg, by the way, 14 of 23 in the second half, 136 yards, 1 touchdown, and the 1 interception in the end zone. And Stephon Page officially, we've been all over the place with his receptions. If you're keeping track, 7 catches officially, 76 yards. Into the pile, Kurt Warner for a couple of yards. Let's go through the whole Sunday afternoon for you. These are all early game finals. The Redskins on a field goal by Lohmiller with 12 seconds to go beat the Steelers. Buffalo hangs on to beat Miami. The Giants in a great battle of NFC giants, literally, 20-17. The Bears win. Saints fell behind early and came back to win. Tampa Bay, that's a rare victory at Green Bay. We'll get you the 4 o'clock games of the late starters in just a moment. 2nd down and 7. And as John mentioned, starters still in there. Krieg pumps, flips it sidearm to Raymond Butler. He's caught at the 30-yard line, and down he goes. Dino Hackett, who plays great on every play, win or lose, along with Aaron Pearson. Let's go back to the scoreboard. 4th quarter, the Jets pulling off the upset of the day at Cleveland. Raiders hanging on to their 4-point lead. Minnesota's got an easy one against New England today, which is a surprise. Philadelphia hanging on to a 3-point lead. Elway having a great day, and Dorsett in Denver. And the Rams have finally wrestled the lead away from Detroit. So now you're fully caught up on this Sunday afternoon in the National Football League. 4 receivers: Butler, Largent, Scampsey, and Kane. 6 backs. Dave Krieg has gone all the way on 3rd and 4. They have not had a lot of pressure in his face. He throws that one wide of the intended receiver, Steve Largent. That time, a little bit of pressure from Neil Smith.
Speaking of Largent, Sam, I wonder if they might think about that record at this particular stage of the game. Now, what does he need? 40-some yards to break the record. If he doesn't get it here, that means he's got to go down to San Diego next week. The record that he'll break is owned by Charlie Joyner, who's a coach in San Diego. I talked to Steve Largent yesterday. I know how much he wants to do it right here. And I don't know. If I were the coach, I might think about that at this stage of the game.
Kittrick Taylor in single safety awaiting the punt by Ruben Rodriguez, punting for just the third time today.
Of course, coaches will tell you they never think about things like that. The game's what's important.
Rodriguez was second in the AFC with 17 punts inside the 20-yard line last season. He will have no chance at that this time. Taylor at the 25. Down almost immediately, running sideline to sideline. 44 yards on the punt, just 2 on the return. Stopped by Grant Fiesel. So it's 31-10, and DeBerg's got the ball back again. Hang in there, folks. You never know. Don't forget, baseball on NBC as the pennant fever grips America. Be sure to join NBC Sports for the Major League Baseball game of the week. We'll tell you upcoming what's going to be going on there. Here's DeBerg, pump faking, throws it to Palmer. Into Seattle territory again at about the 47-yard line. Eugene Robinson made the stop. But DeBerg has this football team on the move, 26 yards on the completion.
Second time he's thrown it over to Palmer in the middle. Been the best play of the day for him.
There are your baseball finals. 2 of them, Detroit and the Yankees, have gone to the 15th, but the Red Sox lost. So if the Tigers win, they're 2.5 back, and the Yanks win, they're 3.5 along with Detroit. We invite you to see the World Series right here on NBC as DeBerg goes down. Tony Woods.
What a play by Tony Woods. Outside right linebacker blitzing all the way. Palmer tries to cut him low, and no chance at all. Woods just jumped right over that and made the sack. What does it say on the back of his towel there? Watch this on the left of your screen. Number 57 flies right in and rolls up in the back, still makes the play.
Great effort by the former #1 draft choice out of Pitt, 6'4", 244 in his second year.
Writing a letter on his towel. Maybe he's writing a book too, and that's what it's all about. Taking notes on his towel.
Author mania out here in Seattle, isn't it?
Feel like part of the Book of the Month Club out here.
Second down and 19. DeBerg again. Jacob Green's third of the day. Kansas City's offensive line has performed admirably today, at least in the third and fourth quarters, but all of a sudden they've broken down.
Jacob Green already has a couple of sacks, one for a touchdown. Just runs right over Luke, number 72 here, just out more strength, and that's not what Green's known for. He just runs over the offensive tackle here and makes the play. Whew.
Casey's going in the wrong direction here. 3rd and 35. 31-10. Seattle with 10:35 to go in the game. A screen to Palmer. He's got some room to run. I don't know if it's 35 yards or not. He gets to the 45 of Seattle and will come up about 8 or 9 yards shy of the first down. Knocked out of bounds by Dwayne Harper, but an excellent call by Steve Moore, the Kansas City assistant coach, and they get back a large chunk of that yardage.
Just about all you can do in a situation like this. The defensive linemen are fired up. They're rushing hard. Run the screen, take some pressure off, and maybe you break one.
So they got 4th down and about 8 yards to go for the first down. They have made 1 4th down conversion already in this game. But this may be asking too much. 4th and 8. The last one, as I remember, was 4th and 3. He's got it to Page. Inside the 35. Great pattern, a great route run by Page, and even better throw by DeBerg. 10 yards in the first down.
You know what was impressive about that, Sam, is Stephon Page knew exactly where the first down marker was. He got it up to just where he needs it for the first down. It curls to the inside and gives his quarterback a target to throw to. And picked up another yard on top of it. But he had the first down before he headed upfield. See the marker on the sideline there? He knows where he is. He's got the first down.
We're back live, and Palmer puts his nose in at the 30-yard line. We may be seeing the emergence of a new #1 quarterback in Kansas City, although Lord knows I don't want to start a controversy.
You just did.
David Wyman is the man who made the stop, a gain of about 4 on the carry, 2nd down 6, John.
Actually, I don't think you're starting a controversy, Sam. I suspect that thought has crossed the mind of several Kansas City fans.
It's been a continuing and raging one, I imagine, for a few years. At the 30-yard line of Seattle, DeBerg has had him down here 3 times in the second half. Good protection, but it's batted down. 78, Doug Holly, the first-year defensive end out of SMU. Got a hand on it, and they're very adept at knocking down passes, is the Seattle defense.
I think DeBerg just told his offensive lineman to block that guy. If you read his lips that time. Doug Holly, number 78 on the right. He's lined up over the center. I believe that's him right there, sort of bats center side. Tom Blah. No, that's not. I'm sorry, he's over on the other side. Actually, he's double teamed by 2 offensive tackles. Still manages to
Ingram and
get up and knock it down. Just as everybody else is having some fun out here, I might as well too in his first year.
4 block passes and 5 sacks. That's how this story will be defensively for Seattle in the game. And that's pretty much why they lead at 31-10. Third down and 6. DeBerg, complete, shy of the first down, or is it? To Paul Palmer out of the backfield. If he is shy, it'll only be by inches, and it depends on the spot of the football. And the official asks for a timeout and perhaps a measurement.
You know, despite the score, as we wait for this measurement, despite the score of the game, you've got to be impressed with what DeBerg has done with his offense. I mean, he's kept him in the game. He hasn't let him quit. He's brought him down the field. They've scored a touchdown.
Palmer rushing today, 14 carries, 44 yards. It is a Kansas City first down. So while he's averaged, John, only 2.5 yards carrying the ball, he's got 6 catches for 101 yards, 145 total yards.
Maybe Seattle's defense thought they were going to have the second half off, and that certainly hasn't been the case. DeBerg is making them work.
By the way, the Tigers and the Yankees have gone to the 16th inning, still tied at 3. Big game there. Big baseball game as we hit them stretch drive in September, mid-September. And speaking of drives, DeBerg has taken Kansas City on a couple dandies himself today. Look at that. 200 yards, and we are only midway through the 4th quarter. And he didn't start until the 3rd quarter. Dumps it over the middle, it's dropped. Little in behind Page that time.
Yeah, DeBerg hasn't thrown too many poor passes today. That was one of them. Threw it behind the receiver. The only other one I can remember was the interception in the end zone.
It stops the clock with 7:54 to go here in the 4th quarter. 31-10. Seattle looking to go 2-0 after beating Denver last week. By the way, the Broncos big over San Diego today. It's now 34-3 in the 4th quarter. And Kansas City, having broken the drought of not scoring a touchdown, got one. They like it so much they'd like to get another here. Good protection for DeBerg. Throws it in the end zone into a double team. And they were just lucky not to have had that picked off. Intended for Stephon Page. Paul Moyer was back there along with, I believe, Eugene Robinson. But they double team Page.
I think as soon as DeBerg throws this ball, he wishes he hadn't. You see a little bit of hesitation there. He was looking to the right side, then he throws it over the middle, and this would have been a super catch if he could have come up with it. A lot of blue shirts there.
It was Glasgow and Jenkins, I beg your pardon, 24 and 22. 3rd down and 10. Flag is down. Got a man open, and Page took it away and got the touchdown. Stephon Page took the football away. It was underthrown. But hold everything till we see what the penalty marker is all about.
Looked like Page got a 5-yard head start downfield on that one, and maybe that's why he was so wide open.
Kansas City is pointing towards Seattle, but there's always a lot of finger pointing. If it stands, it'll be 24 yards.
That's Page on the right side there. Makes it a little difficult to cover him when you get started early like that.
Just ran right by Moyer. Yeah.
Moyer says, wait a minute, this play started, I don't know it.
We may have had a couple of them. Here's Jerry
We have
Mike.
offsetting fouls. Offside number 83, offense.
Offsetting fouls, I believe.
Offside number 31, defense. Penalties offset. 3rd down again.
Vernon Dean's number 31.
That's the worst case scenario for Kansas City. So you were right about Page. He had a running start there.
Here's Vernon Dean, picked up from the Washington Redskins, played in 2 Super Bowls, and I think that's a tremendous move by Mike McCormick and Chuck Knox to get him. He can still play.
So it comes back to the 24-yard line. It'll be 3rd down and still 10 for KC. Trailing here 31-10. They've converted 50% of their 3rd downs. Problem with Seattle was operating at about 80% in the first half. the day for Seattle. Going to make this 4th down conversion almost a prayer, isn't it?
6 sacks. You know, that's just the worst nightmare for an offensive lineman. Mitz gets this sack, but there's a lot of other people in there, too. Doug Holly is in there. Seattle's defensive line having a lot of fun today.
So they lose 10 on that. It's 4th down and a quarter of a mile. 7:30 to go in the 4th quarter.
Holly in his first year with the Seahawks played a year or two in the USFL, getting a chance to show what he can do. He's looking up the scoreboard to see the sack again.
Both there, he and Mitz. And again, Page was offside. This is going to come back if it counts, and no, it's intercepted. Vernon Dean. We've got 2 flags down. One for sure will be against Stephon Page.
Page having a little trouble remembering the count. Second time for him. Dean was right there to make the play. How many turnovers is that now? It's at least 5. That's the 5th turnover that Seattle's had.
Offside, number 88. Offense, penalty decline. First down.
He said 88. He meant 83.
See if we can see Vernon Dean, number 31. He's back there at safety. Just sort of cuts in front of it right there. Not a good pass.
So they've had a field
Dean right
day.
up the field.
The Seattle defense has had a field day now with 5 turnovers. We'll be back. To the interception and the 5th turnover of the day by Kansas City. David Krieg goes right to work again. His pass is complete to Tice at the Kansas City 45-yard line. 4th catch of the day for the big tight end out of Maryland, converted quarterback. And we still have nothing but first-teamers on the field for Seattle, with the exception of Alvin Powell for Edwin Bailey.
But Seattle's offense took it to the house early, and I guess rightfully so. 31-3 at the half. They haven't scored any points in the second half, and they've gotten 1 first down. They had 15 first downs in the first half, 16 now.
Well, if Seattle can hold on to this lead, it will even the career series between these 2 clubs at 10 and 10. At one point, the Chiefs were playing pretty well here in the Kingdom. Before 1983, they were 3-1 and then lost their last 5. And should they lose this one today, it'll be 6 in a row. Tigers and Yankees 3-3 in the 17th. And again, the importance of that ball game. The Red Sox lost today in the American League East. If the Tigers win, they're 2.5 back. If the Yankees win, then both Detroit and New York are 3.5 out of first. 3rd down and 1 on a moving clock now. Seattle trying to put the finishing touches on this 31-10 ball game.
Still haven't thought about Largen's record, though, have they?
No, I don't think they'll be putting the ball up much more today, John. Seattle came into this game with a +3 giveaway takeaway from last week, and today they're probably +3 or 4 more. They've got 5 turnovers. So they are very, very adroit at taking the football away from the other team. First down.
Well, again, it's a big win here for Seattle because you might have expected a letdown after what they did in Denver last week. Coming back home, they figured it might be easy. And with all the distractions they've had with Fred Young and Terry Taylor and all the things that have happened, you've got to be impressed with the way Seattle has played in these 2 games.
I'll tell you another thing I'm impressed with. Chuck Knox is not only a superb coach, but under Mike McCormick, the 2 of them have combined to make some great draft choices. Many teams are wasting number 1s in recent years. Under Knox and the Knox-McCormick regime, their first-round draft choices, Warner, All-Star, Taylor, even though he's suspended, great cornerback, Williams is going to be an All-Pro, Tony Woods, Bosworth, and the equivalent of a number 1 for Kelly Stoffer, who they think is going to be a great quarterback down the line. So they have drafted efficiently. They have made these players play efficiently. They got one of the greatest home advantages in the National Football League. There's McCormick, the general manager.
He was my first offensive line coach, Mike McCormick.
Is that right?
In the college all-star game against the Chicago Bears, and I'm not going to tell you what year it was.
No, don't.
He's done a great job here in Seattle. You're absolutely right. He's put this team, built this team up. They've got a chance at it this year.
And a real
up on the right foot.
A real gentleman, might I add, too.
Yes, indeed.
And they're operating for new owners now, the Knox-McCormick regime. Surely heard about Ken Behring, the real estate magnate from Black Hawk, California, outside of Oakland, who bought this club within the past week or 2 from the Nortzman family, who owned it since its inception. Williams, a big hole. Inside the 30. And that's all Seattle wants to do now is work on the clock. Under 4 minutes, 8 yards on the carry.
There's the new owner right there on the sidelines in the white shirt.
Yep.
Smiling as he should be.
Just looks like one of the guys, doesn't he?
He says, hey, this is easy. I buy the team, spend $80 million, I get 2 quick wins. Who says it's tough?
He was telling you and me a story earlier today, how much fun it is and how he never dreamed that he'd be asked for his autograph. And you said to him, it only cost you $80 million to sign it on. I thought that was a great line, John. It cost you $80 million to sign your name.
He also said he has no intention of moving this team out of here. It's the best football town in the NFL, is what he said.
65,000 every time they tee it up. Can't ask for anything more than that. As much as those building holds. Warner picking his way to a good gain again, and we're at the 3-minute mark now left in this football game. And so a reminder to those viewers who have just joined us to watch Rags to Riches, please stay tuned. Rags to Riches will be seen in its entirety immediately following football, except for the Mountain Pacific time zone stations, where the program will be seen at its regular time. I thought I had a great piece of trivia here for you. You know, Western Pennsylvania is known for quarterbacks. Marino, Montana, Joe Namath. You've got 2 head coaches in this game who were born and raised in the Pittsburgh area. Did you know that?
And there's any coincidence that you're from Pittsburgh?
No, not at all. Not at all. Frank Gans, Chuck Knox, throw Mike Ditka in. You know, that story I related earlier, how having received 2 number 1s in return for Fred Young, that Mike McCormick has not denied that he may be giving one of those number 1s to Pittsburgh for Mike Merriweather.
I asked him about that before the game.
Well, let me just say something. As a Pittsburgh fan, I'm hoping to goodness that they don't even think about that in Pittsburgh.
Well, maybe they're not, because the deal hasn't happened. And Mike, right there, you see him on the screen, did not deny the fact that he is talking to him.
Same situation. Merriweather's the identical situation as Young. Had a valid contract, wanted to renegotiate, held out, didn't come in, and Merriweather has still not come in. Played his last game for Seattle. As mentioned earlier, he played for Indianapolis today. Randall Morris running with the football, stopped by Cofield as we come down to the 2-minute warning now. And so Randall Morris gets a chance, and it reaches almost a 2-minute warning before Chuck Knox replaces his starting offensive unit. As you look at the Boz,
Osworth's tallying up the sales today, $1.30 for each book sold.
Raking in the bucks. Rumor has it he's already made $650,000 on the book and could make $1 million. 31-10 Seattle. This game will end mercifully for Kansas City in 2 minutes. So we've got exactly 2 minutes left in this football game. It's 31-10. The Seattle Seahawks will go 2-0. Kansas City, unfortunately, 0-2, and now must go home and regroup and host the Denver Broncos. Big winners over San Diego today. It is not an enviable task that Mr. Frank Gans has ahead of him.
Not the way you want to begin a comeback. And the other thing you got to worry about if you're Kansas City is what happened to the defense today. They played so well last week, and today Seattle just jumped on them early.
Well, we have just a moment. Our thanks to our support crew here, our spotter, Sam Maydew and Rick Mueller, and our statistician, Barry Culver. Now it's time for the Most Valuable Player Award, sponsored by Budweiser, and today's MVP is Jacob Green from the Seattle Seahawks. Budweiser will make a contribution to the United Way on behalf of all the MVPs selected in today's games. Jacob Green, 3 sacks, 1 touchdown, 1 block pass. All in a day's work.
Sounds like MVP numbers to me.
Yep.
2 sacks last week. Not a bad start on the season.
3rd on the all-time career sack list behind Lawrence Taylor and Dexter Manley.
Looks like he hardly broke a sweat either.
Great football player, former #1 draft choice. Out of Texas A&M, now in his 9th year in the NFL. Clock continues to run with 1:25 to play. It is 3rd down at 6 Seattle at the 11-yard line. Krieg out of the shotgun. In the end zone for Largent. Overthrown. Kevin Ross had the coverage. If you joined us at any point, not a banner day for Largent. He did not have a big game last week at Denver. Of course, suffered a concussion. Had only a couple of catches. Has only 2 today for 34 yards. Still 51 shy of the career yardage mark held by Charlie Joyner, and he'll get a chance to do it in front of Joyner next Sunday in San Diego. Well, let's see what went around. The big stories in the NFL today. Doug Williams threw for 444 yards against the Steelers, and they won the game on a field goal by Chip Lohmiller in the last few seconds. Joe Montana to Jerry Rice. Seen that happen a few times. 43 seconds left to beat the Giants. In and out of the hands, Paul Scansey, the intended receiver, a very much Largent-like receiver.
Good call by Chuck Knox. They went for it on 4th down. Why rub it in with a field goal? Although they were throwing it, maybe they're looking for a touchdown.
So Kansas City will get it back one more time with 1:02 to play, and they're down 31-10. Cincinnati's taken its first lead of the day at Philadelphia on a Boomer Esiason touchdown pass at 3 yards. And the Houston Oilers have gone on top of the LA Raiders for the first time today. 31-28 now. Houston leads LA 28-24 since it leads Philadelphia. Both late fourth quarter. Little pass out to Palmer in the flat. Gets a block and cuts in, and there's a flag down.
While we wait to see that call, Sam, just to update the quarterback numbers, because that was the story really before this game started. What were the quarterbacks going to be able to get done? Well, I think the scoreboard tells you all you need to know at 31-10, and Kenney didn't finish the game. But Krieg played very well, 14 for 22. His yardage isn't all that great, but he was in control of this game throughout. I think that was the most impressive part. His offense was in control. 114 yards, 1 touchdown. DeBerg, all in the second half, 18 for 30, 200 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. But
illegal
Krieg is the one that counts because he's going to win the game.
Offense.
And the DeBerg story is one storyline that Frank Gans did not want to have to play out here today. He would like it to have been Kenney, but Bill obviously continues to struggle in 6 quarters of running this offense for Kansas City. He did not put a touchdown on the board. All he had to show for it were 2 field goals, and maybe a change might be healthy, but we'll see. He's got a big decision to make, Frank Gans, over the next week, or maybe to him it is no big decision.
I'm going to say, my guess is he's already made that decision. This is his quarterback. They're looking at him right now.
DeBerg from his end zone. Tip pass, completed and dropped. In and out of the hands of the rookie, Saxon.
Awful lot of tip passes today by Seattle. That's at least the 4th one that I can remember.
I wonder if they have a jumping drill in practice or something. They're not particularly tall. They're no taller than any other National Football League defensive front.
Surprises me. Those defensive linemen all weigh about 270. I don't know how they can jump at all.
This is what you were talking about, John. That's our report card on the day. Pretty much tells the story. Krieg, not big yardage, but in control. Warner had a nice day rushing the football. Heights they went to on occasion. They didn't really need Norm Johnson today.
That's a season for Tice, 4 catches, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. 2nd down and 13 now back at the 8-yard line for DeBerg. 31-10 KC. They're going to win this football game. Saxon almost with a circus catch. Pass in behind him. And DeBerg angry at himself for having delivered the ball behind the receiver.
Regardless of the score, there's Bosworth. He was in coverage at that time. Regardless of the score, when you're a quarterback, you want to make sure you throw the ball. If you're out there, throw it right. And that's the 2nd time he's thrown it behind the receiver.
The concern now for both Kansas City and Seattle has to be the injury sustained today. KC losing Lloyd Burris, not knowing exactly what the problem is there. And Joe Nash went out early as the nose tackle for the Seattle Seahawks. Also Patrick Hunter, starting cornerback. Maybe that's the biggest injury of all. Thank you, Sam. That's a good reminder. Because they can ill afford to lose another defensive backfield. DeBerg, sideline pattern, complete to Carlos Carson. And a penalty flag down again. So let's see whether this comes back.
From a player's point of view, all you think about now when those flags go down is it stops the clock and keeps you out of the shower. They're ready to head for the house.
Offside, number 78, defense, penalty decline.
That's about the first mistake Seattle's defense has made all day.
You know, it's funny, just to go back in the first quarter when Seattle, on a 3rd and short yardage, gave the ball to John L. Williams on the outside, and he ran for what appeared to be a touchdown. And instant replay indicated that his knee had touched at the 1, or the knee had touched at the 2, the ball the 1, and they never got the touchdown on that drive with a 1st and goal at the 1-yard line. And one would have thought that would have taken the momentum away from Seattle, and for a moment it did. It seemed to stump the Seahawks, John, as you remember. But they certainly got their poise back in a hurry, didn't they?
He did, but Kansas City rose up on that occasion and stopped them. I thought that might have been an early turning point, but it was all downhill from there.
So we've got a timeout on the field with 29 seconds to play in the game. We'll be back. Trotted over the sideline to talk to Steve Moore, the offensive coordinator, and see exactly what he wants him to do. And he said, "Have you got a play in your bag that's worth 21 points?" And Moore said, "No, I don't." And he said, "Well, then go back to your huddle." In the shotgun. Got a man open. Stephon Page, who's had a big second half here. Total of 9 catches on the day for Stephon.
I think he's been around long enough to realize that those numbers are not satisfactory to him. Doesn't do you any good when you're losing like this. Chuck Knox on the sidelines, just waiting for that clock to tick down. 22 seconds left.
I have a feeling he's already put this victory into his mind. Now he wants to get to the locker room and the training room and see how bad the injuries are to his wounded.
Absolutely right. He put this one away at halftime.
First from the 47. DeBerg stepping up in the pocket, throws it downfield, and this will be the 6th turnover of the day. Intercepted by Paul Moyer. Just a bad throw by DeBerg. A flag is down at the 30-yard line in Seattle territory, but it followed the interception. It will have no bearing on the interception by Moyer. Perhaps a fitting way to end the ball game for Kansas City, even though DeBerg played very well in the second half, John.
Now, that look right there sums it right up. Although he's thrown 2 interceptions in the second half, put up a lot of numbers, but not a lot of points. And the quarterback controversy doesn't exist unless one quarterback can put some points up. Danny McManus is the 3rd quarterback they've got, but he's a rookie, a late-round draft choice.
And not dressed today, by the way, on the inactive list. 2nd interception from Moyer today. You get a chance to see it from DeBerg's perspective.
DeBerg's been around long enough to know, and he's been there 12 years, that numbers mean nothing. I don't know what he was thinking about when he threw that one.
Overthrew Page,
right to Moyer. Numbers mean nothing for a quarterback at his stage of their career. Quarterbacks are paid to win. He's there as a backup to be ready in case something happens, but see how upset he is with himself.
So the clock will expire here as Krieg just takes the snap from center, and that will do it. And this football game really boils down to one quarter, the second quarter, in which Seattle scored 28 unanswered points, scoring 2 touchdowns within 8 seconds of each other. Gans and Knox shaking hands. Jacob Green pointing to somebody that he knows. Oh, it's Deron Cherry, his fellow Pro Bowler. So a very satisfying victory for our most valuable player, Jacob Green, and the Seattle Seahawks, as they win this one by a score of 31-10. They're 2-0 now. The Chiefs drop to 0.